Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, getting better. I'm Ben Hansen. We keep stacking these episodes. It just happens to work out that way, where a lot of people want to jump in at one time, and we say the more the merrier, because we're joined by Jacob Geller.
I'm here.
We're joined by Janet Garcia.
Hello.
We're joined by Haley I Pluck McLean.
Something's in my eye.
Get it out!
Hurting.
And special guest Charles Hart, sir.
Heyo.
Heyo. Welcome back, Randy Pitchford. Welcome. What is your title at Game Informer these days?
Associate editor.
There we go. How's that feeling over there? Full timer.
Woo, woo, woo.
It's good. It's good. I mean, I'm now the only associate editor, I think, because the other ones got promoted to senior associate editor. So I'm kind of at the top of my own little food chain, you know.
That's right.
That's a glass half full way to think about it. I like it.
Yeah, that's really smart. Way to go, man. We're also joined by the one and only Leo Vader.
After the special guest is interesting, billing. It's
also
more of a with Leo Vader.
Well, you always get the best, and the
Samuel
cutest and
Jackson.
funniest guy on planet Earth. Ben always gives you the best little intro.
He's just unbelievably cute.
I'm I Pluck McLean.
Well, specifically, I wanted Leo to go last because I wanted to talk to him about the big news that hit today. I don't know if you've heard this, Leo. I hope you're sitting down or standing up or doing jumping jacks, whatever you need to do to digest and process this news. But did you hear that they officially announced a Writers' Republic film?
Yes.
And I was thinking, boy, is this moving anybody's needles? I'm like, Leo Vader, the biggest fan of Writers' Republic on planet Earth, more than I'd argue the director of that game over at Ubisoft. Is there a chance you will leave your house and have a little date night and go see Writers' Republic in theaters when the film hits?
Me, yes. There is a chance.
All right. Okay.
The meme factor for me personally is enough to go see that in an empty theater like I did with Borderlands, the movie.
Now, do you think that movie has a better or worse chance of coming out than the Shadow of the Colossus movie or the Metal Gear Solid movie?
I think better. I think this is a fool's errand. I feel like this is going to happen. They announced the directors of Bad Boys 3 and 4, which solid films. Mm-hmm. So
there's
100%.
formats you can go for. It's something like Metal Gear Solid. There's all these meanings of how do we honor these different things? Like what matters about it? What can we do in the movie that replicates the game? What do we do that's new? In Writers' Republic, every meeting is who gives a shit. So I think it could happen really easily.
Yeah, well, they're very key to emphasize that, quote, this feature adaptation is poised to be a, quote, electrifying action movie delivering nonstop thrills, humor, and spectacular stunts on the snowy slopes of the Alps. That's all you need, baby.
That's all you need. Do you remember when Uwe Boll was making all those video game adaptations and it was some German tax loophole where he was making money off of these movies that were complete flops?
Right.
And bad?
Yeah.
And then challenging critics to fight him in a boxing ring if they didn't like the movies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This seems
That's
like
cool.
something that they would only do if it's some kind of tax loophole to make money.
Hey, speaking of tax loopholes, somebody write down this idea. It doesn't need to be anybody listening or watching or on this call, but somebody on Earth should write down this idea. You make a video game that's based on Charlie Kaufman's adaptation, and it's just called video game adaptation. Is there anything there?
I don't understand what we're talking about.
Someone write it down.
That's right, everybody. On this week's episode, we're talking about FBC Firebreak from Remedy, the new co-op shooter. Look alive. We'll be talking all about it. And there's a twist because somebody's been very close to this game, but 4 of us have played it. Then we're going to be talking about Despelote, which is a new indie game published by Panic that's about it's about the role of soccer throughout a child's life in Ecuador. I'm very excited to talk about this one.
Ecuador trying to qualify for the World Cup for the first time.
Yeah, a very specific point in time.
Very specific point in time. Then we're going to talk about Doom, the Dark Ages, and then back half of the show, we have some great community questions that people submitted over there on Patreon. Thanks, everybody, for making the show better each and every week by submitting questions over on Patreon. All right, FBC Firebreak. This is the next Remedy game that is coming out next month. It's coming out June 17th, which is a wild thing. This is a co-op game. Now, if you really are tuned into your Remedy universe, you, astute viewer, might notice that FBC, Federal Bureau of Control. So if you're a fan of the game Control, this is technically within that same universe, which is also within the same Alan Wake
goddamn
universe.
building.
It's in the same building is a better way to put it. All right, so Jacob and Leo and Haley got to play this thing in a remote preview. Yes, yes?
Yes, yes.
Yep. Awesome.
Yes.
But please mute your mics because the one and only Charles Hart, he got to go to Finland to actually play this thing at Remedy's office. That trip must have been a joyous experience for you.
Yeah, as they say in Finland.
How much time did you spend there?
3 nights. So I showed up, basically immediately went to sleep, and then I had a day at the studio, and then I had a free day, and I went to the sauna, which is a big thing in Finnish culture.
Yeah.
Did you jump in like an ice lake?
I did. So the fun fact I learned is there's, I believe, 5.5 million people in Finland and 3.3 million saunas. There's more saunas than cars. Remedy's office has 2 saunas. There was some debate about whether it was 3 saunas. Oh, dogs. I went to one called, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's Lull, and it's on the sea. So you do the sauna, and then you step outside and dunk in the cold ocean water, and then come back out and go back inside. Amazing. Way more adventurous than I ever normally would be. But it wasn't a helicopter over the Grand Canyon, so I was like, that's the bar now for terrifying stuff.
Didn't throw up, Charles?
That. I didn't, not yet. I still could.
Still time, yeah.
You can blame the sauna, there's no doubt about it. Okay, so this game, it's an interesting case, I think, with FBC Firebreak to try and wrap your head around it, because it's like, hey, Control fans, check this out. But don't expect like a big continuation of the Control story or any huge narrative hooks. It's just if you want to spend more time in kind of a wacky co-op game, objective-based co-op game within the Control universe, this is an option for you. Like even the fact that they're not calling it like Control : Revelations or something. It seems like they're trying to like temper expectations of like, this is something that is cool, but don't think of this as like the next big Alan Wake Control style, moving forward with the Remedy universe. Do I have the right read on this, or what is it?
Yeah, when I got to talk to I talked to the game director and like the lead designer and stuff. And one of the quotes was, we didn't call it Control : something because this isn't a Control game.
Perfect.
This is FBC Firebreak. This is a different thing.
Okay, because they're just worried about people being upset about it not being single player.
You can play it solo for the record.
Oh, great.
But yeah,
it was crazy how much of the presentation we saw was them tempering expectations. Like I would say it was about 50% of the words they said was like, and this isn't, and they're like, it's not a Control sequel. It's not a big living game. It's not a, like they were really
interesting
in a way that I appreciated, but they were hitting like, don't expect too much from this in a way that at some point I was like, is this a little diminishing to the game that they made?
Because it's $40, right? They were leading with that too.
It's 40. I wrote this down. 40 base, 50 deluxe.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Haley, as a Gaga Remedy fan, what did you think of actually playing this thing?
I'm so Gaga. I think games like this, it's going to be as fun as the people you're playing it with. We actually, Jacob had to drop off a little bit into our playthrough, and then someone from Remedy joined Leo and I. We actually didn't ask them to join, and they said to us, if someone drops, get one of us to join. And we were like, we're awkward. We won't ask, but then someone popped in anyways and played. So we were able to ask them a couple questions. And what I was curious about is, like, does the difficulty go down if you play it by yourself or only 2 people? And it does not. So if you're playing this solo, it's just going to be like playing on extra hard mode.
Interesting.
Essentially. So you're going to want to have 3 people. And you just kind of get more out of this if those people are fun. Ultimately, I think whenever I come down to like co-op objective-based games, you can put me into pretty much any scenario. And if the people I'm with are fun and funny, I'm like, this game's 10 out of 10. I find it hard to judge games like these, honestly.
And for mechanically, it's you're all playing a first-person shooter, and you each have your kind of kit. And they do require the assistance of the other kits kind of to get the most out of it. Like one of them soaks everybody, shoots them with big water blobs that gets everybody wet. And then you need another kit to electrify that and shock the whole crowd and stun the whole mob of enemies. So team play definitely matters there with getting the most out of your kit. I think you would find it maybe a little dry mechanically if you were playing it by yourself.
Yeah, I think the best moments definitely came when we were realizing how our kits worked together to do better things. Like I had the water gun, there was fire, I sprayed water on the fire, check mark. But then, I was spraying water everywhere and Leo zapped one of the guys, and then like 50 of them all were like, and like got killed. We're like, yes, like things like that. are very, very fun in this game. I will say, as somebody who's a Remedy head because of the lore stuff, like I can take Remedy gameplay or leave it. Like there's no real lore in here for me personally. Like I've obviously only played a little bit of it, but like what I'm seeing is how we already understand the hiss and the old house, and like we know what's going on and we know what's happening. It's just like, why don't you play in that sandbox and have fun in that lore that you already know? Like, for example, I'm such a loser, but like I was picking up documents which give you perk points and stuff, and I was like, I want to read these. It's like, no, you don't read those. I'm like, damn, it's just a currency, but like I want to read Remedy things, but that's not what this game is for. So if you're somebody who's like, I love Remedy and the story and I want to, there's going to be lore drops in here. Like they're going to have little things in here, but it's definitely not focused on that at all.
It's like a quip-based lore.
Yeah.
Like, all through like little dialogue things you hear where they're like, did you know that if you're salaried, you don't get overtime? Isn't that messed up? And then it's like, oh, that's another thing you know about the FBC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so them
The
saying
list
it's
gets
not,
longer.
Yeah, it's not a living game. I mean, are they going to have like seasons? Is this like an easy perk for them? Eventually, like season 3, they'll be like, okay, we have an objective that ties into Jesse or something like that.
So they're adding like new jobs, which is like the game modes you can play. So I think we're getting like 2 more of those this year, and they're adding cosmetics and stuff. But as far as I know about like, I don't think there is like a continuity to the game, as far as I know.
Or time limited stuff. That was part of the pitch too. It's like we're not trying to make this your life. We want you to have the fun time with your friends whenever you choose to dive into it. So there's the battle passes. At least everything in the menu we scrolled through is like activate it whenever, move through it at whatever pace.
I'm fascinated by their angle overall, and like especially them realizing we need to get players in this. If we don't get out of the gate strong, so many of these types of games have, had a tough time catching an audience. So the fact that it's like launching on PS Plus and Game Pass and on PC, it's like they're doing everything they can to be like, please give this game a shot. If we can be, what is the measure of success for this game? If it's 1/20th Helldivers 2, it's like mission accomplished, or like what are they going for?
Well, I kind of got the impression that they were like, this is me speculating industry, I have no idea, but like the fact that it's launching on all of those places, I was like, my guess is they're kind of breaking even now, and that's what they're happy with, because they don't have a lot of plans for, like, they were not like there's going to be a new battle pass that you'll buy in 3 months. Like, I got the impression that, like, when you buy the game, you basically get it, that it is not like a microtransaction-y nickel and diming you game. And so if they have managed to cut deals with Microsoft and Sony and all of these things, like, it's a AA game, and I think, like, people will pick it up on their subscription services, and like that is probably good enough. But I don't think it's like, if you had the Helldivers thing of like 6 months later, only a quarter of the people are playing FBC, I don't think that would actually be that big of a deal, because I don't think that they need to keep making money forever in order for this to be like a financial success for them.
And if it takes off in a huge way, it's just what a great boost to have a genre that has, doesn't have a clear ceiling on it like survival horror does, which I know they've talked about in the past of like, we all like Alan Wake 2. How many people could conceivably be like, Alan Wake 2, that's my jam. That's the new God of War. It's like it's inherently kind of niche, whereas I feel like co-op first-person shooter, maybe there's more of an infinite ceiling on here potentially.
It's their first time self-publishing too, so maybe this is almost like a little bit of a let's test this out on this low stakes fun thing that we're doing. We want to break even on to maybe set up those channels to publish Control 2 in a more expedited way or better way. Right. Because Control 2, there's been some messaging through GameFile over there, Steven Totillo, talking about Control 2 and how they want to have a smaller budget overall for Control 2. Like ballpark and, Control 1
smaller than Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, specifically, I think the numbers there were like Control 1 had a budget of like 79 million, and they're looking for like a budget of like 57 million for Control 2. But they have so much of the tech already in place that, it's conceivable. Don't think of it as going to be like some micro game compared to the first Control. But the quote from GameFile was interesting, where the CEO of Remedy said, quote, "We are moving from surviving to succeeding." I feel like that's always the Remedy style. Like as a big independent studio, like if we could just we're barely scraping by. Alan Wake 2 just became profitable a couple months ago. Like, we're always just doing well enough. But like, if we could lower the budget on this thing and actually propel ourselves with our biggest IP that we own now, although I think Control's bigger than Alan Wake.
It's all in the same thing now. It's all.
I guess so.
It's all the Remedy IP. I feel like.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
So rooting for him as an independent team for sure. But it's fascinating just to understand the business of where Remedy's at, and especially because like, this project was started where it's like, okay, let's try and catch on to a multiplayer fan base. Let's try and have a game that can have a bigger ceiling for player count. But then also they had Project Kestrel, which was through Tencent, which was like a free-to-play game they were working on for years, a free-to-play multiplayer game. And then in 2023, that was rebooted to be like, okay, it's no longer free-to-play, it's going to be premium now. And then like, okay, that project's just gone completely. And now we got the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake ahead of time. And this is like our multiplayer focus, is this FBC Firebreak. But I feel like we're diving too much in the weeds of the business. But overall, I mean, impressions are, it's fun to talk to your friends. And the game is what?
When I played it, I remember thinking like, yeah, it seems fun, and then played it. I was like, yeah, this is pretty fun. And just an interesting thing of when you play a shooter, like the bar is so high that I was like, it's fun, but is anyone going to play it? And then talking to developers, and they were like, yeah, if you pick, they were like weirdly not stressed about it. At least the vibe I picked up. Maybe they're really good at concealing it, but they're like, yeah, maybe you play it on Game Pass for like 3 hours, put it down, or maybe you play for 100 hours. I don't know, whatever. Like, I do that all the time. There's so many good games out there. We just want people to, check it out and have a good time.
That makes you want them more, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow.
Give me the
You don't even need
edition.
me? Hold on, let me.
And it did kind of lower my standards where I was like, yeah, I'd play a little bit of this. I'm not going to devote my whole life to it. But then I was like, you know what? Why should I devote my whole life to a game? I already play some games every day. They don't need to all be like that. So I think that kind of like recalibrated my feelings on it, where I'm like, it's not going to light the world on fire. And then they said in the interview, quote, we're not trying to light the world on fire. And I was like, oh cool. Okay.
Were they all wearing towels in the sauna during this interview because they were so chill? Or?
They might as well have been, yeah.
Their quality of life is really high outside of work, so they're not really that bothered.
They're not putting all their
like?
hopes and dreams into this product. That's nice.
My dumb question is, because I actually haven't been following this game much at all, other than that, like, it's in the Control universe. Are you a firefighter in this game? Like, what is? I see you put out a lot of fires. Like, you're just on fire? Everything's just on fire. It's called Firebreak. What's going on?
Yeah, you're basically like a janitor, but you're in a place that's crazy, and so you're asked to do a bunch of fun things. And so, like, the most fun thing about the game, I think, is that like some of the objectives were pretty wacky. You go into this place and it's like, oh, there's an anomaly here, and it's the Post-it anomaly, and there are like literally like 13,000 Post-its in this room, and you need to like get them wet or otherwise destroy them. And so your goal is not to like shoot a bunch of enemies. It's literally to like knock a bunch of Post-its off the walls. And if you walk into the Post-its, then they like cover your screen, and it's funny. And so it's like,
I've used the water thing to clean off Jacob because he can't see.
Yeah. that level of interconnectedness with the world of Control and its weird anomalies and stuff, like, that's really fun. But I think the reason that none of us have been like, I can't wait to get this on my plate, is like, it doesn't feel that good. Like, that's the, that is the kind of like, if it's a multiplayer game without a story or lore, you are kind of relying on game feel and the fun of your friends. And we got great friends, but like, shooting has never been Remedy's strong point after they stopped making Max Payne games. And like, it's not here, and it's a first person shooter. And so like, it is just like, it just like, the guns don't feel good. And I hate to like boil it down to that, rudimentary of an analysis, but like, that's what you're doing in this game, is shooting stuff.
To be a devil's advocate a little bit, do you think how much of it, because the game was jittery and we all talked about that, like when you shoot it kind of like doesn't quite do what you want, and there's like a little tiny layer of that, but how much do you think it is of their tiered battle pass like system where it's just EXP and you get the better guns later on, if they want it to feel kind of bad at first until you're goated up, souped up, and you have all the
I would say that's not good game design. If the game doesn't feel good until I play several hours of it, it was just like, there were kind of you know, like shooting these big globs of water at people was fun because it was kind of like a silly gun. But then everyone had, you know, a shotgun or a revolver or a, you know, Tommy gun. And I was like playing with the revolver, and it's just like, there are a bunch of enemies and they're running around really fast. And I have this like slow gun that doesn't feel good to shoot. And it's like maybe incentivizing cooperation to be like, you shouldn't be shooting at all. But it was just like, you know, it did not have the Destiny or Call of Duty thing of just like immediate good feedback when you're playing it. And it just, again, it matters because they took out a lot of the charm that Remedy has previously been able to like supplant that with.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick, to be clear, it doesn't have like supernatural abilities then, because that, to me, that was like the juice of the control gameplay was that element, not necessarily the Morphe gun, even though I did enjoy that as well.
We're middle management in this game. You're like secretaries and
gadgets and weird devices for sure.
Yeah, you have the like a supernatural part of it comes from like you have your kits, which are like all your secondary stuff, and then each kit has like a I'm gonna use the game term, altered augment. I want to say it's called maybe awakened augment, one of those. But it's like you're like your super move. So when you have the splash kit, you have like a water gun, and then you can add like a teapot on top of it, and it's a magic teapot, and now you have like a flamethrower instead. One of the kits has a gnome that when you throw it, like summons all these lightning storms. That thing is terrifying. I do not care for that. But that was more of like a aesthetic thing than like a gameplay thing. It's all fun and weird, but it is like a comparatively small part of the experience. It's more supernatural in like what you're fighting than what you're doing.
The post-it note thing, as you replay levels, you go further and further into them. That's part of the way they've done longevity, is like you kind of repeat parts of levels, but it's harder and there's new twists on it as you go into the same mission again and again. And the post-it note one is like the first time you're just clearing post-it notes, and then the second time there's full-on post-it note men running around, like people made of post-it notes.
That's awesome.
And then you can spray them with water and they're soaking wet and they look so different and weird and strange. And it's cool that the Remedy personality comes through in that way. And honestly, like the pace of getting to that stuff didn't feel bad. But I think if you kind of need to have, I don't know, the shooting probably won't get you there. You probably want to have a couple Remedy-obsessed friends, and you want to be into it just to see the fun designs they've put into it.
Right.
But it doesn't really assert the need for itself that way.
Okay.
Did you guys get perks at all? Was that in your build? I don't know when you played.
Yeah. But they said they were getting completely reworked, so we shouldn't talk about them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think like they were getting reworked, so we didn't have them at all. But they were when they were talking about them, like in my interview, they were like talking about this whole perk system of like there are going to be like different levels, and as you unlock more, they'll like take up more perk slots, so you can have like a ton of perks that all do a thing a little bit, or you can have some like major perks that you share with like the rest of the party. And they like compared the game to Monster Hunter, which I thought was interesting because I didn't pick that up at all. But they were talking about, I think, just in the sense of like you'd be making these builds that would be reliant on these perks a lot. And so I'm curious, like when the game comes out, how major of a part that is, and if that makes it more interesting in some way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've played a game genuinely where I've been like actually very excited about perks as a concept. It's usually like the fourth thing on my list, but
yeah. I mean, Haley, you're the test. Sorry to put the spotlight on you, but turn up your light because it's on you, dude. I mean, you play Overwatch or Marvel Rivals multiple times a week with a regular group of friends. Mm-hmm. You are Remedy drenched in your brain. Will you recruit your friends to play this game when it comes out?
I think I need you guys, because my friends don't like Remedy enough, and they also don't leave the games we've played for 9 years. So I need help.
Okay.
One thing I didn't get to touch on yet was like, as somebody who plays a lot of shooter games, is there was two elements of this I really didn't love. I overall had fun with it, and I'm not trying to like have the last thing be something I don't like, but there's ammo scarcity in this, which I really didn't like, and that doesn't work for a game like this. I think it's the wrong call, because there were so many times where me, Leo, and Jacob were grouped up fighting a wave. We're clumped up in a corner. We can't really go and deviate and do other things. And it also really incentivizes you to stay grouped up, because you get more shields the closer you are to your friends, kind of like Dynasty Warriors, kind of like whoever's nearby you affects things kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I run out of ammo. and then I can't go get more. So I'm kind of just spraying water at the ground and hoping something happens. I have nothing else to do. That kept happening. I really didn't like that. What were you gonna say?
There are ways to get more, but it's, you can't always get to the spot that gives you ammo.
Yeah.
And it kind of incentivizes like later gadgets. You can bring an ammo box. You can give more ammo to your team, but that's just not an exciting thing to fill a slot with. Is like, well, I guess we have
if you
to
have
this.
like an exploding gnome, having to be like, no, I'm bringing the ammo box is not a fun decision.
That's not fun. I think,
right. I am generally such a fan of ammo scarcity, but I agree it doesn't fit here.
I think it needs you need 4 times more ammo genuinely in your pocket before you do each level. That's kind of what it felt like to me. And then the other thing is they have like a shower where can heal you. Of
course.
But a lot of situations kind of boiled down to all of us jumping in the shower together and just spray and praying at the freaking monsters coming up to us and just hoping we lived. Because
what is this,
that
Jacob
thing
and I in
passively,
Brazil? I don't know. Sharing a hotel room.
that thing just kind of like heals you passively to the point that even when the Remedy person joined, he was in the shower with us too. And we were just like, like all standing in the shower. So I don't love that there's too much simplicity, I think, with that specific mechanic of like hop in the shower to heal yourself up quickly. And that's always located near the elevator exit. So the final push was always us all standing in the shower and just like spraying. And I was like, this doesn't really feel like strategy. This feels like a panic thing. I'm probably just bad at the game. But I also did love how every cool session always kind of deviated to that final result at the end as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, like, if Haley messaged me and was like, I've got this downloaded, let's play, I would be there in a heartbeat. Like, I'm not like put off the game, but I'm just not super, it didn't like jump to the top of my list.
This is, again, sorry to become video game executive 101 here, but like, how differently would this game be received if it was bundled into Control 2? If they just made this game and then just sat on it for
The Last
4
of Us
years
situation.
or whatever. Right.
Interesting.
There's kind of like
It
a
feels like a
worse.
2012 era multiplayer add-on to a single
Yeah.
player,
Yes,
for
I'm
sure,
looking at it, and it does feel like Gotham Imposters or something even, I guess, which is the opposite, because that's a standalone. But it has that vibe to it.
But if it was in Control 2 and Control 2 had a lowered budget, I would be like, why did you do this? Put that money into Control 2, the thing that we want.
Right. I guess that's true. Fascinating. I mean, Charles, did going to Remedy, I don't know, make you appreciate the studio more? Was there kind of I'd imagine you already loved Remedy going in, but just what was it like to be in the halls there?
Yeah, no, it was cool. I hadn't been in. I went to Capcom, but when I went there, it was a very like guided tour. They had they reorganized their office, so there were whiteboards lined up along the paths we were walking, so we didn't accidentally look over and see what was going on. It was like being like railroaded in a video game. Whereas this was like, there were people around, like I got in the lunch line with other Remedy employees and got my food, and then we went to our
lunch?
own. I want to say it was venison bolagnese.
You never
there was
went.
rice,
And it was
there was a
in
big
a
salad
burrito?
bar. There's no burrito. I remember I was like, there was a hot food line, and I was like, I don't want to get in a second line. That's too stressful. I'm just gonna get salad. So I filled up most of my plate with salad. But then I was like, oh no, there's just the Remedy cafeteria space, and there's no empty tables. So I don't want to go sit down by myself at the end of a table full of Remedy employees.
Rough.
So then I get in the hot food line next to the journalist that I knew. And then I ended up getting some of the other hot food. It was fine. But to answer your question properly, Ben, it was cool. I liked seeing it alive. And it's also really weird going to a place and they have like a framed Game Informer on the wall.
Oh,
and I'm
that's
like,
so sweet.
Yeah, that's my. They had a shelf with like gaming magazines and other related stuff. I did open it up and I found I don't know what issue you worked on, Hanson, but I found a picture of you in there for sure.
Oh, that's nice. It was the Quantum Break. Yeah, I visited Remedy for that.
Yeah.
And then Leo visited for Control. So it's fun that 3 of us have been to Remedy. You guys have got to go. Come on, rest of you. Just go over there.
Did you
We're on
see
pace.
Sam Lake? Was he there?
No, I did not. He was. I don't know if he was there. I assume he was, but I didn't see him.
That's fine. Well, there we go, everybody. FBC Firebreak out next month. Is there stuff at
I'm
Game?
gonna message Jacob to have to play with me because he said he would.
He said it.
I was
I'll do it.
I was going to
Heartbeat, he
ask,
said.
when you see the message from Haley, are you secretly hoping, I hope this is not FBC? Or...
I was promised that MinnMax was going to play Monster Hunter together, and then we did not. And I keep waiting.
We did it in a stream. We did it in a stream. It counts. Content counts.
Together.
At some point, we'll all have a great time together in multiplayer, not on content. I promise.
I think, Ben, you're not making it there. You have a child.
I know. You know what's really important when you're playing multiplayer games?
Factor underwear or something.
Factor underwear, everybody. Eat some food. If you crap your pants, get new underwear with MeUndies. No, Leo, don't be foolish. What I'm talking about, of course, is headphones, baby. You gotta hear where those enemies are. You gotta hear Jacob's dulcet tones ringing through to find out where to go in your Firebreak team. That's where Turtle Beach can come in, man, because they have the Stealth 700 series of headphones available in their super cool online store. I am honestly so happy to have Turtle Beach as a supporter of MinnMax here. You know, we get a lot of offers for different advertisers, and we turn down a handful of them. And then this one I was like, oh, what a slam dunk. Because Turtle Beach, look, they make great headphones. The Stealth 700 series, I've been using it as I've been playing through Clair Obscur for the deepest dive and having a fantastic time. An 80-hour battery on this thing. You can switch as cross-play dual wireless transmitter systems for multiple consoles. It's fantastic on that front. But then also, if you already have a pair of headphones, a headset you're happy with. They have other stuff in their store as well. I mean, if you need a new mouse, if you need a new keyboard, if you want racing simulators, if you want flight sim controls, there's a bunch of cool stuff in Turtle Beach's store. Check it out. Yes. And you can head to turtlebeach.com and use the code MinnMax for 10% off of your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code MinnMax. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them that MinnMax sent you. You can get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach. Link in the description if you want to check that out. Get 10% off using that promo code MinnMax. We appreciate it.
I genuinely might use the code because Michael doesn't watch the show, my friend Michael, and he needs new headphones because he plays Overwatch with Apple headphones, and the stupid little thingy runs against his shirt. Every 10 seconds, and I have to go, Michael. He's like, I'm ulting. I'll move it in a sec, and he never does. So
I hate him headphones. Now. Turtle Beach, everybody.
By the way, we knew which Michael you were talking about from the way you said it. You didn't.
Thank you.
It was obvious. Yeah, completely obvious. Despelote. Has everybody been playing Despelote here?
Yeah. I haven't really gotten a fair shake at it.
Okay. All right. Keep rolling with it. It is a shorter game. You can beat it in 2 hours or so. Ballpark in here, soccer ball in here. I'm so curious where everybody else is at with Despelote. I played this game more or less in one sitting and was over the goddamn moon. Like fist pumping, this is what I want from video games. Hell yes, please. Is everybody else as hot as I am on Despelote?
For some thought here, like all of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the notes I took is this.
Yeah.
And Despelote has more notes and it's 2 hours long. That was like a 55-hour game, and this is a 2-hour game. So that's a little tease on how much I like this game.
What were you taking notes on?
For Kingdom Come or Despelote?
Obviously Despelote.
I don't know.
That would be the weirdest tangent to take us on right now.
I'll talk about Kingdom Come right now if you want. I don't want to spoil. I guess just like the biggest thing for me was the beginner's guide vibe of this, which I'm excited to hear Jacob talk about. And I don't want to spoil that element of it because there's one poignant moment in this that caught me so off guard, and it was so good to the point that I was just like, oh God. I'm gonna think about this for years.
A moment of the year conversation. Tune back in 8 months.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yep, for sure. It's written down on that front. Yeah,
it rules. It's just like I imagine, Ben, that your reaction was similar to mine. Of like, I just want 1,000 more of these.
Yes.
Of like this like incredible kind of like memoir-y snapshot of like one person's experience and one point in time in this like really just like small but well painted corner of the world of just kind of like it's like using the like how much you can get engaged in a game to teach you about history in a way that really doesn't feel like a history class. You know, it just feels like you're able to like exist somewhere else for a little while.
Yes.
And then on top of it, just like every level of it is so goddamn charming, you know, that it just like just seeing characters animate brought me joy the entire game.
Okay, we should explain what this is a little bit, right? So yes, it is late 90s, early 2000s slice of life in Ecuador, all about soccer and society and the interaction with soccer and how it intertwines with the family and culture at large, all that good stuff. Football, as we call it in the game here, Janet. But it is.
Why would you single out Janet, who's the biggest football
Because I'm the only one that likes soccer.
And also in the.
Right? Is that true of everybody here?
I mean,
I played it growing up and I was ass, so.
Unless we're talking about Mega Man soccer, then yeah, that's probably true.
I like it now after this game.
Hey, I like it a lot
Does
more after this
anyone
game.
does anyone know Spanish here? Because the game is all in Spanish. We should point that out. Like the
Yes.
voice acting part is all in Spanish. With
Haven't done Spanish in a while, but I did a lot of Spanish in like school, and I considered like going back and changing the language because it has the English text boxes, like if you don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to start over and switch it to Spanish to be like, how much of this can I follow?
That would be nice. I'm in the same
that was
camp
interesting.
as Charles. I had years and years of it in school. Technically, officially proficient, but I think you debunked that. I think we were in a taxi at some point, Janet, in LA. And I mentioned that I know Spanish. You're like, what's the word for floor? I'm like, well, I'm stumped. So that's not a good sign. So
Which there's a whole little song about it too. So I'm like, I feel like that's a pretty basic word to know.
Yeah.
It's walking sim in structure with a really
Yes.
striking art style, I think is probably one of the big key like standout elements of the game. It has sort of a grainy, like Game Boy look to it, kind of pointillist in its backgrounds, kind of like photo scanny. So it's kind of the environment it's almost like it's hyper realistic and then demade down to almost be like hard to piece out. But
yes,
yourself, other characters, key objects such as the soccer ball, things like cones that you can hit, things like pigeons on the ground. Those are white with black outlines, almost like paper dolls imposed on
Same color as a soccer ball.
Yeah, it has a very like mixed media like look and feel to it, and overall, and I really like the game as well. I'm maybe slightly less hot on it, but I do think it is like if you like walking sims, you need to play this title. Without giving it away, specifically the ending, like the last thing that happens, I was like, oh wow, that was a really amazing standout moment for me. Some of the other surprises I think were less surprising to me, and that I kind of knew about elements of this game before I started it. So I was like, oh, they said the thing that I heard about a bunch of times already. So I kind of, it kind of took some of the surprise out of it, but it was very like nicely done. I think what this game does a great job at is taking you from moment to moment and really making you feel like you're in those moments in time as this young boy, Julian. Like when it rains, like the way that you can't see and the water comes down feels very like authentic to those moments. And really, this is a game for people that you like walking sims, you like good stories, and you like eavesdropping in games. It's a big eavesdrop.
Yeah.
Listen to conversations and get a sense of like, what, like literally like when people say the streets are talking, like that, it's the streets are talking the game. It's like, what are your parents talking about? What's like the guy at I forget the name of the vendor, like what he sells. He sells like, it's like a corn, it's like a lentil ceviche thing. I forgot the name for it. In Ecuador, it's an Ecuadorian snack. Yeah, like the guy selling chocho, I was like, what's going on with him? And then the other people talking. And it's so much about that in the way that, you know, so many of these, I think, walking sims lean into conversations and the joy of a good conversation that you can hear.
But I think what's specifically fascinating about this game is that idea of like, there is always the soccer ball to mess around with as the object in almost every scene, just to kick around with as you're talking to your friends. And so it's that fun disconnect of you role-playing as a kid, wanting to kick the soccer ball with your friends. Whenever someone tells you to do something, it's like, yeah, but where's the nearest soccer ball? Because I really want to go play with that. And as you're playing with that, then the adults and other people on the periphery are all talking about real life stuff, about the economy, about how life is shit. Like, it's just such a fascinating blend of the core fun, but then around you at all times, you're getting glimpses of what everybody else is going through, and you don't want to become an adult because it seems terrible.
Then they do a really incredible job, even in the subtitling. And I'm curious, like, if I spoke Spanish and was able to like better pay attention to the VO, but like it's a game where everyone is interrupting each other in a really fascinating way, where it's just like when you're sitting at the table and your parents are talking to each other and to you, but everyone's kind of having their own separate conversation in that way that just like that is how people talk, where it's like, people are talking to each other, but their conversations aren't exactly lining up because they're each interested in saying something slightly different. And it's just like, it's really naturalistically written. And then because you're a kid, you can pay attention to those, or you can kind of wander off, and they're all written to be like wander-offable, where you can come in the middle and pick up some of it, and then you can stay and hear the whole conversation, but probably you are going to go somewhere else and play with a soccer ball. And like, it also, you're not missing the narrative by doing that.
Yes, and the way that they talk over and around each other a little bit also accomplishes the like being a kid and not fully understanding what's going on. The, like, I don't really get or care about what you're talking about. I'm focusing on my video game or whatever else I want to do. Like, it brings you into that mindset so well, including all this eavesdropping is done from you are an 8-year-old. You're half the height of any adult that you see. You're looking up at everybody around you the whole game. And that's such a cool effect. It's such a it's such a real like transfer of a childhood into a medium and into our minds. It's like so effective for that, to feel like you actually experience this.
And just the small little moments too of like, you're at a wedding and everyone's at a fancy table and you can just like crawl underneath the table and have like the tablecloth come around you as like a little fort. It's like, oh, I have not thought about that for like 30 years. But oh my God, of course, hiding under tables.
There only being 2 kids there. So like you have to play with your sibling because they're the only one there. Like that's also such a specific feeling that I was like, oh also, I remember being like that.
The little sister is like my character of the year. Every time she's in a scene, I was just it's like I love Peanuts so much, and I love like Sally in Peanuts, who's like voiced by like an actual 5-year-old, and you can hear her like reading her lines phonetically in Charlie Brown Christmas, and like that's what this feels like. It just feels like there's like a little Sally in the game who every scene is like doing something incredible.
Yeah, that's the part that makes me want to stand up and scream about this. Is I am so excited just to have more natural dialogue in games that sound like real life. It's what I've been screaming about, I feel like, for so many years, of like more documentary games, please, for the love of God. So to have this game emphasize that, like, here's just a nonfiction slice of life. And I had a moment of like, these voice actors, they're not the best. Then I found out that it's actually his parents and actually like people that he knows that are improvising these lines, where it's just like his parents talking about the state of the film industry in Ecuador. And I am over the moon all of a sudden, like, oh my God, he recorded his actual parents to recreate these conversations from his childhood and put them in a game.
Good.
Yeah,
she read her lines very well.
That's true. But I was so excited about that idea of just the humanity that's coming through in the way these characters are talking. It is so rare in games, and this is such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I also loved how when there's an indie game like this that obviously has constraints for budgetary reasons and stuff like that, leaning into the constraints to make that an artistic choice rather than a limitation is one of my favorite things in the world that games can do. Like, for example, with this, you're meant to feel like you're in a hazy memory. It's in the past. You can't quite remember if this is real or not, hence why all the backgrounds are hard to see, whatever. But the things that are crystal clear are like your toys, the soccer ball, your parents, like those kind of, the local dog that you used to pet all the time. Like only those things need to be rendered in like a good asset way. Right. Not just because that'll save us thousands of dollars, but also because it's going to hit so much harder when you're playing this, because that's like the underlying message of everything. I love when games do stuff like that. And of course, the kicking mechanic is the most thought out mechanic because
it feels great.
Soccer feels great. And it's the whole underlying message of like, isn't soccer awesome? Yeah. Like this local culture completely adopted soccer to the point that it's part of that location's personality as well as the protagonist's personality. So isn't it fun? Let's make that the most fun thing to do when you're just like walking around.
And all of these like aspects of it that expand outward and affect society in such a real way. What a huge thing for that country this moment in time was, but also keep bringing you back to the simple joy of kicking a ball. like holding all those elements makes it so interesting and so fun to talk about afterwards. Get so many things
Yeah.
out of it.
And to naturally connect, of course, to Remedy for this episode, like the part that killed me is like, oh my God, it's all grainy, distorted first-person gameplay and stuff. But then when there's glimpses of like, oh, there's just live action on this TV. They're actually just showing soccer games. And there's some like great moments in that front of like, hey, just look at the soccer match. It's incredible. Like we're trying to get this across of how cool this moment was. Like that is the stuff that's just like, mwah, it's so rare. Even just, well, here's a snippet from a film that is in this entire thing. Like there's so many great little moments like that.
There was so much fun with like the showing of the games on screens nearby, but you're still a kid and you want to go kick the soccer ball yourself. But sometimes I'd be running by the TV in the local store and I'd hear goal, and so of course I'm gonna stop and go and like go look at the screen, and they have like the time. So I would only assume that that's actual like timed footage of the game, and like
in
when
that
the goals were
moment?
happening
Oh,
was actually
fun.
happening in the moment. And like maybe they're spacing it out strategically so that like when you're nearby it yells goal and it jumps forward to the point where there was a goal in that game or something like that. But that's just like whenever that kind of stuff was happening, I was like, of course, like every kid and myself now at age 31 would run and hear it when they heard like goal. You're like, and everyone runs over to look.
On the time thing, it's like you can look down at your watch whenever and check the time, and it really, I have no idea if this is part of the game at all, but it really felt like time passed faster when you were doing more fun stuff.
Oh,
Yes,
and I don't know if
I
that's a
sat
real
down
mechanic,
for a
but it
while.
just...
No, I sat down for a while and they go like real time slow minutes.
That's
it's so
awesome.
slow.
Yeah, but
This
then
game has that
it
magic
would
quality.
it would be like, okay, I have 10 more minutes. I'm gonna try and kick the soccer ball and like get it to knock the bottles over.
Yes.
And then you would look down and it was like 20 minutes later and you'd be late and you'd be like,
And your mom's just
back.
screaming at you that you're not back at this point at this time and stuff like that. Yeah, it's so exciting to see something different like this. And there's like just these magical little moments of like, oh, I've never done this in a game before, where you start out and you're playing this kind of overhead soccer game. And it has
Which
like the
feels
same.
so good. I could play that for 10 hours.
Yeah,
Lucky.
yeah. But then just to like have the camera like slowly pull back, and then it's a first-person game as you're playing that. Like I've never had the frustration in a game before of playing a fun little mini game and then having my dad come and turn it off and be like, come on, Dad, or like your sister's being obnoxious and she's trying to get your attention. You're like, yeah, I'm actually just wanting to play this soccer game on TV, and then your sister's pissed at you in the game and crying because you weren't paying attention to her, and it's like, well, it's just perfect little I don't know, role playing of these scenarios that line
It's
up
a game
beautifully.
within a game. Like Shakespeare's play within a play, the closest that a game can get to that, which is, I love that.
But the only difference is I think this is better than Shakespeare in every way, Despelote.
You're not wrong. I, think
I would
it's
replace
Put it on the
Shakespeare with
box.
Despelote.
I want it. It's a weird thing because like I think this hit so beautifully of like I want more of these nonfiction slice of life games. Jacob and I just got back from South America, and so it's just like this lightning bolt to my heart. It's a tough thing to communicate because I don't think it's going to go down as this profound 10 out of 10 experience for everybody. So I don't want people to be disappointed by it. It's like it is a really cool little experience that I want more of, but like I don't want people to get their expectations too high based on this conversation.
no, but I do think like, I think one, it's like part of its charm is that it's not about, the meaning of life. Like I
Yes.
love my like Dear Esther's and whatever, but this is just like, this is like maybe the most memorable summer of like a kid's life, but it's not like, the day I became president or something. It's just like these memories, and then if you get to this ending that we all keep alluding to, like it does feel like it kind of universalizes in this really amazing, unexpected way without getting like bigger than it is. Like it always maintains this really just tight individual focus. And like all good art made with that in mind, it's like, well, if someone is just like really, really honest about like their life and their experience, it will become kind of compelling and relatable, even if your life is not similar to theirs.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's right. And so, Panic posted this video with the developers kind of talking through. They have a couple of kind of dev diaries and stuff. It makes more sense for the overall game where it's coming from when you learn that like, oh, this is, one of the creators, the game director, is just, he lives in New York and he was kind of romanticizing and getting nostalgic about his life in Ecuador. And he's like, I wanted to make a game that was just kind of like the idealized version of my childhood in Ecuador to kind of like unpack my experience and the importance of soccer throughout my life. And it's like that just unique angle is so great. And then in the credits, when the credits were rolling by in Spanish, which was fun, I was like, God, that name, Gabe, that sounds really familiar. And it's like, oh, he was on Ape Out. And so he was like a producer on this game.
Okay.
And so
I remember his name too, but I didn't look it up.
Yeah, and so he was actually the guy who created the soccer game within the game then. So Leo, if he felt like it felt like
Ape Out, kinda.
Yes,
Oh my God, I didn't
if that
think
wacky ape was playing soccer, that's the game. Yeah.
Oh my God, wait, but like the way that the legs and arms move kind of
Right.
is like
Yeah, the
Yeah.
animation
Yeah.
work does, in hindsight, does kind of look like that. But yeah, I mean, I think the other important thing to emphasize is, we kind of alluded to before, this is the year that Ecuador qualified for the World Cup for the first time. And I think the game does a good job conveying it, but just to drive it home to people that are listening that aren't really familiar with why that matter, what the vibe is for that. Like the World Cup, obviously you'd want to win the World Cup, right? But there's levels to it in terms of international soccer. Like for many countries, if you've never qualified, just qualifying, that is you won the World Cup, because it can be very hard to even qualify. And if you are a country that regularly qualifies or somewhat regularly qualifies, the United States or Mexico, you maybe have other sort of goals or dreams, like getting past certain rounds in the World Cup. So that's part of why it was such a big deal, besides them also mentioning, elements of what is Ecuador's professional sports history and how does that drive culture. But that's why that matters. It's why does it, why is it that deep? It's that's why it's a big deal. And especially with the point system too, and the way that soccer works, it's not and I hope I win, it's not NBA, I hope I win best of 7. It's not that kind of structure. It's point based on goals matter, differentials, and there's all these other factors. Sometimes depending on the setup, what another team might do might impact your team. So it's this whole kind of more complicated sort of setup. So where these games each matter, but they matter in the context of the holistic situation. So one structure I really like in this game is that they spend so much of it highlighting what does Ecuador need to qualify for the World Cup, and sort of marking it as it went to sort of facilitate the game structure in that sense as well. And you can see people sort of getting more excited about it. And I thought the matches were really exciting to watch, because it really did convey the feeling of what it's like to watch soccer, where when I caught the Bolivia-Ecuador game, in the game, I was like, oh, it's 0-2 at 28-18. Okay, this is a lock. And then I'm like, oh, a third goal? I'm like, okay, it's only 56-30. They still play. I'm like, oh yeah, it's over. I can walk away and go hang out and kick the soccer ball, because, I'm like, they're kicking Bolivia's ass right now. This is wild. So yeah, I think it had a lot of that fun combined with it, with also the, I'm half Mexican, half Puerto Rican. So I don't have, experience. I've never gone to Ecuador or know much about the culture, but I do know Spanish and negativity, and there is a lot of that in this game in a way that really hit. There's a line that I really loved. That's we played like never before, but we lost like always. Oh man, if I haven't heard that a lot of times. The Spanish also just feels very organic. Again, I'm not Ecuadorian, so I can't speak to how authentic it is to people of Ecuador, but just the way that things were constructed, the jokes and the snips and things like that. I did read along with the subtitles, but I didn't fully have to. And I think if you know enough Spanish, it is slow enough that you can kind of just hear it. But also that's sort of the point, right? You're not meant to get everything. You're kind of just meant for things to wash over you. So,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely enjoyed getting to engage with it on that way, because I feel like I was able to catch a little bit more.
Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
I will say, I didn't understand why it mattered at the start, and then you just get so swept into it. It's so convincing of why it matters. If it doesn't sound like it's going to be that compelling to you, it will do its work on you.
Yeah. This is if Leo, 20 years from now decided to make a video game about the importance of Brack as a character in his life, just, I'm trying to think what.
Yeah, foundational.
Knockout City.
Right, Knockout City. Yeah, that's a better example. Rumbleverse, sorry. Completely different. Despelote is the name of the game. I mean,
World Cup's here, CONCACAF 2026. This is the best time to get into it right now. It hasn't been here since the 90s. CONCACAF, that's the name for the region of the world. So CONCACAF's the North America, South America, this kind of sector of the world. We're CONCACAF. So United States, Mexico, Canada,
We're Concacaf.
I never heard that before. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Have I been yelling at you guys more lately?
A little bit, but it's okay.
I think it's all right.
It's been making the
probably
podcast great.
Yeah,
It's
Probably
making
stop
me really
pissing me off
passionate.
so much.
that's okay, man.
All right.
I'd be surprised if this is not in my top 3 at the end of the year. Like it is just exactly what I want to such a ridiculous degree. Who knows? But I'm looking at the rest of the year, like it is perfect in its own little way.
X is gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so long, $1 billion game. Here's the 2-hour game about soccer.
Ben, have you played Wide Ocean Big Jacket?
No.
You should play that because that's another kind of slice of life, talky, walk around, childhood kind of element. I think that's all, like, I do like the game a lot, and I think it's very great at like capturing moment to moment stuff. But I think it's like another banger in that kind of vein.
Sure.
Where it's not quite on like before your eyes or like that kind
Right.
of like like for me personally, like
Yep.
it's not that level of transformative, but I do think it does a really good job playing with how can we convey moments in ways that are creative within like the tool set that we kind of went for. And I think they get a lot out of that by looking at it from a lot of different angles in a way that I was impressed by, but it's not necessarily shaking my world on like that same level. But yeah, there's some really great ones of this kind of walk and talk
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah. It's like there's a bundle from Panic where you can get this along with Firewatch on Steam. When I first saw it, I'm like, Despelote, why are they bundling it with Firewatch? I'm like, okay, I can see it now after playing it.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get it. Yeah. But there you go. Despelote, everybody. Leo, you remember how the food looks so good in Despelote despite being so distorted and stylized?
And you can eat it bite by bite.
That's right. Just like you can with HelloFresh, everybody. HelloFresh. I'm a terrible, just bite by bite, whatever you want, man. You can eat it any which way. But the first things first, you gotta cook it. And let me walk you through the steps of cooking food, your normal, boring way of like, okay,
Explaining.
let me make a list of everything I need to cook.
Whoops, I fell asleep.
Exactly. Okay, let me like Google ingredients and recipes. Whoops, I slipped on a banana peel and I hurt my arm in the kitchen.
When you were making banana bread earlier.
Right. And then it's like, okay, now I gotta drive to the grocery store. Whoops, I'm out of gas.
Huge car accident. Pile up.
Multiple 7-car pileup on the freeway on the way to the grocery store. But what if I told you there was an easier way with HelloFresh?
Oops, my wife left me. That
Yeah.
has something to do with the cooking.
That's
but-
right. Oops, I
I
don't
was
know
away
how
for too long.
I don't know how to cook. Yeah, everybody in my life is mad at me for it. What if I told you, whoops, be gone with HelloFresh, everybody. They give you a big box right to your doorstep that has amazing fresh food, and the important thing, recipes. You can be a grade A dingus and you can still make some grade A meals with HelloFresh, everybody. You get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. They got 50 meals to choose from, including 15-minute meals. You can't do anything in 15 minutes. Nothing on earth has ever been done in 15 minutes except for cooking a HelloFresh meal, apparently.
Quibbies.
So, I guess Quibbies. You can
I
probably
can't
cram
even
a lot.
shower and shave in 15 minutes. You're telling me I could have a whole meal?
It's because you spend so much time watching Quibbies while you're shaving, and you gotta cut down on that time.
You're right.
But you can get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM. 1 item per box with active subscriptions. Free meals applied as discounts on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by the plan. It's up to 10 free meals. HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM. Link in the description if you want to check that out.
When the Turtle Beach code was just MinnMax, I was like, it can be just MinnMax? Wow.
That seems so easy. Doesn't have to be a cryptic puzzle like it is from I Am 8-Bit every month to try and figure out how to get a discount.
And we love them.
And we love them so much. Thank you, I Am 8-Bit. You're our favorite. Don't tell the others. Let's see. Here's a tough pivot, everybody. We're going to be talking about Doom: The Dark Ages on this podcast. Naturally, there is a larger conversation to have surrounding the context of Doom: The Dark Ages, which has been a growing and growing concern. But the BDS movement, which is calling for a boycott on all of Microsoft and Xbox gaming in particular. We talked about it a couple weeks ago when Bossman was hosting the show, thanks to that community question about it. But it's boycotting Microsoft because of their technological partnership with Israel. People are canceling their Game Pass. Some folks are hoping that we don't cover Microsoft games moving forward in solidarity with this boycott. People are canceling their Patreon support, dropping out of the Discord. I get it. Totally understand that. It is horrifying what's happening in Gaza, and I totally get that feeling of what levers can I pull and move in my life to affect change. It seems like no one is talking about this the way that we should be talking about it. It is gut-wrenchingly horrific. And so I totally get it. If you are in that camp of, hey, because of the boycott, I want to stop playing Xbox games, I want to cancel my Game Pass. Anybody that talks about Microsoft games, I want to cancel support to them. I get it. Everyone, it gets to make their own choice. At MinnMax here, a group of individuals, everybody's kind of making their own choice about how they best want to approach this. It's how we've handled things in the past of like, if people don't want to play a game, we don't assign reviews here. And so we kind of go along that path of find your own way. And so people in the Discord, people in the community, I get it. If you feel like you need to bow out, we respect that, and I appreciate the tone being really civil in the Discord as well for the people that are bowing out respectfully on both ends. Because we talk about a game does not mean that we necessarily condone everything about the parent company and their policies and their approach to events in the world. We have a link in the description if you want to learn more about the overall boycott of Microsoft here through BDS. Haley, just community manager, what's your read on everything going on here?
Yeah, I've been super appreciative for how civil everyone has been and understanding in like what just an awful situation this is, where we're supposed to be doing something that's not that high key, where we're providing very, I would like to say, I use the word mundane in my head, but that's a little bit rude to us, but we're supposed to be talking about entertainment products. But now, because of the way in which society is set up and the decisions of these large corporations, we're now having to think about our contribution to horrific acts in other areas of the world where like an active genocide is occurring at this exact moment. So I've appreciated everybody has different takes. Everybody has different levels of comfortability with everything. Ultimately, that's all we can really do. I think our community has been really good at expressing their own opinions and saying whatever they want to say in a very nice manner. And we can just take that criticism and hear it and ultimately do what we decide is best at the end of the day on our individual perspectives here, not to speak for anybody on the call. But I hope this comes across as something that we wanted to talk about. Not that we were, felt pressured to talk about, because we all talked about this ourselves in the call before and chat about it. So this is something we want to talk about. And it comes across as not performative, but more of just like calling out how we feel about this precarious situation where we have to balance, what we're here doing versus being understanding of the purpose of boycotts, which are historically effective at enacting change against companies who only really care about their wallets.
Yeah, and the people leaving, like, it's been nothing but sadness for sure, and understanding even internally for sure about those. I think there's been a little pushback. Like, worst case scenario, it can be read as performative to say, I'm going to leave for this reason, and here I go. That's like, if you want to take it in a bad faith way, you can. But that's like, you're making a statement. You're using what is in your world to enact what change you can, including getting us to notice more. Like leaving, we pay attention to that. That hurts. That's a real way to use your ability to support or not support us, for sure. So we have nothing but respect for that. And I mainly do want to correct, last time we talked about it, we did talk about it as a general Microsoft boycott, which of course is there in every aspect of our life. That's really hard. But it is really focused on Xbox and gaming and the optional things, the things you can choose to not participate in. So that definitely was worth a correction, and I want to thank the community for the education on that.
Yeah, right on. Doom the Dark Ages from id here. Have they said this is the final of the trilogy? Do we see this as a trilogy just because there are 3 released for kind of the reboots? They're not phrasing this like this is
so
right. It's the weird prequel
angle. As Janet
angle.
said, you're still in hell, so I don't know.
I guess you can do the when you have
Are you in
support.
hell?
Like,
I'm confused.
Jacob, you're the one who's supposed to know if we're in hell.
I
don't know.
No. Anyway, it's more Doom.
It's more Doom. Jacob, you've probably been playing the most of this. Charles has been playing as well. But Jacob, set the scene. I know you love Doom. I'm trying to remember what was your read on Doom 2016 versus Eternal, how many times you've played Doom 2016, all that fun stuff.
I mean, Doom 2016 is like the platonic ideal of a shooter for me. It's like it's one of my favorite games. I've played through it a million times. Earlier this year, I like played through it on a charity stream and was like, counting every demon you kill was like $1 to donate or whatever.
Right.
And I do think I had a lot of respect for Doom Eternal for like, hey, we're not going to rest on our laurels. We're going to like kind of reinvent the combat system and make it something different and approach this game in a different way. Even though we had already figured out something that worked, we don't want to just keep doing that same thing. I didn't connect with it as much as Doom 2016, and that's basically the camp that I'm in again with Dark Ages, which is like, I think it's really impressive that 3 times in a row they have kind of made a first-person shooter that doesn't feel like anything else. That it is like, this is a wholly unique way of playing a shooter, and it really feels different than 2016 and Eternal. But it doesn't... The gameplay is interesting, and I like some aspects of it, and I don't like others, but I feel like the real problem with this is the wrapper, and not just the wrapper that it's published by Microsoft, but also the wrapper that like they really are investing so much time in cutscenes to convince you that the Doom guy is cool, and 2016 did that so well with literally like they presented a story and then the Doom guy like kicked the screen out of the way and was like, I don't care about the story. And for some reason in this game, we are spending so much time on a story that I know the Doom guy doesn't care about. And it's just like, it's weird. It's weird to keep having to watch these cutscenes.
But it just,
well, if it's a prequel, maybe he used to care about it, right? Like, could that be?
Find out why he doesn't care.
Could this be back when he cared?
He just, he
I remember
it so
when
well.
when I previewed it, they talked about wanting to have like less of the lore in the codex, and that kind of, I think, being maybe the rationale to adding more of the cutscene stuff.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's so, I don't know, like 2016 and even Eternal were so like propulsive, and it's just like level, and you're kind of doing the action. And there's just a lot of like, there are like lots of other named characters in this, and you're kind of watching them do things, and I don't really know who I'm supposed to care about in them. And they're also just like, there are a lot of cutscenes of the Doom guy doing things when the player, I think, is supposed to be like, man, that's awesome. Like watching him like get on top of a dragon and being like, man, that rocks. And it is cool, but it's cooler when I just got to do it and not that the game felt like it was like forcing its idea of what's cool on me. So that's like, I have a lot of criticisms of just like what the surrounding experience of the gameplay is. But then the gameplay is this weird mix of like parrying and melee attacks and like big open fields that I do find really interesting.
It is, this is silly to say about Doom at this point, but it's like, it is so gamey watching videos of this thing just to be like, oh, it's like green flashes and all like kind of puzzle based combat of, okay, they do this, then you do this, then you come in for this. Like it seems so kind of mechanically silly and specific, I guess.
I played Doom 2016 like a number of, like maybe in 2021, like way after it came out, and I had never played a Doom game before, and I was playing that, and I was just like, I understand what we're doing here, I'm on board, and I kind of like Doom the Dark Ages, but I don't know if this is stupid to say, it feels kind of overwhelming. I think part of it is the story stuff of like, there's just so many characters, and I was so used to 2016 where like I didn't pay attention to it, but and I couldn't tell you now anything that happened in that game plot-wise, but I felt like I was following it as it was happening. And this one is like, I just keep kind of being like, I don't really get it. Should I have been paying more attention than I have been? And then the combat, again, I'm on like chapter 5 or 6 maybe. They keep introducing new buttons, and it was like a hard game to put down and then come back to several days later. And I was like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go. And it's like, okay, I forgot there's a shield throw button, and if you shield throw at certain things you can then grapple to that point.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come up very often, but I forgot that was introduced a level or two ago. And there's like, it makes the combat interesting because there's some enemy shields you shoot and then destroy, but other ones can be destroyed by a certain gun. And it's just a lot more active brain thoughts and remembering buttons than what I was used to with the other one, which was a lot more like in reflex and just kind of like, I don't know, being locked in. And this one I feel like I'm strategizing a lot more.
Yeah, it is. It's really thinky and really fast paced, which is both a good and a bad thing. You know, that there is like a lot you can do at any given moment. And like they've added the big new addition is you have a shield, but the shield is essentially a grappling hook because you can shield bash people from like 100 meters away. Like you can just fly across the battlefield to hit people with it, and you can throw it and you can use it to deflect attacks in the parry window for parry warriors is like very generous. And you can even make it more generous. They have settings for that. And so like there's all this going on, but it also, because they've adopted this big open level structure, it almost feels like Serious Sam at times, where it's literally like there are just guys running at you from all directions in these big open fields. And a weird thing that they've done with the combat is in like previous Dooms, they had this kind of interesting little level AI thing where like when you killed all the big enemies, they would just activate a thing that's like all the little enemies rush at you at once. And so they're easy to mop up and you don't have to go like hunting for them. And that was like a cool way of dealing with this. In this, they've gone one step further, which is once you kill all the big enemies, the little enemies just disappear from the field completely. You don't even have to kill them. But that makes me feel when I'm playing like killing the little enemies at all is like a waste of bullets, because I'm like, well, when the big guys disappear, these guys are going to get out of here anyway. So why should I waste my time killing them? And so then it ends up just feeling like there's kind of a lot of fluff around the battlefield that I don't need to pay attention to. And they're like the three main targets that should get all the focus. And maybe that's the intention of the combat, but it feels weird to play Doom and just like ignore imps because they're literally not worth like the rounds in your shotgun.
Right, right.
It's just like, there are a lot of knock-on effects of how they've changed the combat because everything is so tightly wound that like one change ripples outward.
Yeah, so just another approach to the core Doom 2016 formula. Like, do you think it's going to go down as the worst of the three, but still fun? Or is it a thing of like, it's just the different approach to Eternal? Maybe there's going to be fans of Eternal. Maybe there's going to be fans of this one on an equal level.
I think that this will be some people's favorite, at least gameplay wise. It feels like there is incredible depth, and like a speed run of this game or like just a high level difficulty run will be incredible to watch. I can't imagine that anyone is going to be super compelled by the story, though I'm only halfway through, so maybe it does get cool. But like I think there are people who really prefer 2016 and there are people who really prefer Eternal, and I could imagine that happening again with Dark Ages, especially if you like being really up close, and like there's a whole like melee combat system in this, so it's just completely new and feels different again. And so like I don't know, it's like it's a game that I view with kind of respect for the design, even though it doesn't connect with me as much, just because like it is so wild in game development to have a system that works and kind of throw it out just because you want to come up with something new.
Right. Yeah. That's the fascinating thing about this entire push for New Doom. It's just like they're reinventing it every time. And it's really, I mean, they could be 3 deep just basically creating more Doom 2016s, and Jacob would still be buying them every time or interested in playing them every time, But Doom, the Dark Ages, it's on PC, it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox. But yeah, crazy that it's releasing day one on PS5 here for Doom, the Dark Ages. They don't need to do a little quiet song and dance or like maybe a year from now it'll come out on other systems. Like, nope, just right out of the gate. It's right there on whatever console you want to play, unless it's Switch. Hey, Leo, do the names Mr. Mophead or Ryan M mean anything to you?
They are both DC villains.
That's right. And they're coming out to play in Gotham Imposters 2, everybody. Look alive.
That's still playable. I'm putting that in the New Show Plus list right now.
Is it really playable?
Imposters, yeah.
No. It was it's You're
I've
kidding
read
me.
on Steam.
Really? All right. Yeah, let's play it. No, these are our new supporters on Patreon. Mr. Mophead jumped in at the $5 tier. They unlocked the bonus podcast feed, which is access to Bonus Pod, Haley's show, every single Monday. Jacob Geller and I were on this latest week for an hour-and-a-half long discussion about our entire trip to Brazil and Sao Paulo. It was a fun kind of podcast recap of that entire journey. And then also we talk about Thunderbolts and kind of have a mini max spoilers for Thunderbolts in there as well, if you want to check that out.
And you talk about meeting the devil.
Oh, yeah, we talk about meeting the devil. We talk about meeting the devil on most of our content these days, though. And then
Always
also,
with Indica. It just comes back to that every time.
can't get away. Ryan M jumped up to the $10 tier recently, and they unlocked the Backstage Pass of tier. They unlocked the extended version of the Brazil travelogue, which is 8.5 hours. We appreciate that. And we want to give a heads up that everybody who jumps up to that $10 tier, like one Ryan M did here, if they do it before this Monday, the 19th of May, we will DM you on Patreon with a Steam code for Chia. You know, Jacob, the New Caledonian Adventure that you hear so much about?
Good game. That New Caledonian Adventure.
Yeah, back in 2023, it was our number 11 on the 210s. And so we're excited to do a code giveaway for a game we all like with Chia, where it's kind of Wind Waker, but then immersive sim elements, and you're transforming into all the animals. It was sweet.
Physics-based traversal, really fun, really unique.
Absolutely. So we will DM you a Steam code if you jump in at the $10 tier before this coming Monday, support Independent Games Media, or if you upgrade to the $10 tier and get also like 140 hours of bonus content and a bunch of other stuff like that. And shout out to some of MinnMax's biggest supporters. I'm talking about specifically the one and only I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about The Messenger, the vinyl soundtrack to The Messenger from the developers of Sea of Stars. They have the vinyl soundtrack in their wonderful online store. The music is by Rainbow Dragon Eyes, of course. This is a reissue of the vinyl soundtrack to The Messenger. It looks so good, sounds so good, you gotta hear it. And if you gotta hear it, you might as well hear it on a record player, Leo, as we like to say. But
Year style.
that's exactly it. Check out I'm8bit's wonderful online store. Help support I'm8 because they support the MinnMax community in a huge way by shipping out a prize each and every week to whoever submits the best question, our favorite question each and every week here on the podcast through Patreon. We choose our number one favorite. This time, whoever wins question of the week wins Bomb Rush Cyberpunk on PlayStation, thanks to I'm8bit. And just a reminder, you can use that promo code It's Gonna Be May. It's gonna be May. 10% off everything in the wonderful online store. Okay, here we go. Ready for these community questions?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Haley's gonna bow out or just kind of chill and build up to it, kind of wait until the water gets warmer in the pool. Charles, are you ready for these suckers?
Ew.
See,
In the pool.
Come on, guys, let's all jump in and warm up this pool together.
Yuck.
Mark Garcia
that's
writes
worse.
in and says, greetings, everybody. With the release of the second GTA 6 trailer last week, the Pointer Sisters saw an uptick of their song Hot Together on Spotify. Guess how much traction that song gained?
Oh my god.
I've never even considered this as a possibility. The song grew 182,000% in traffic thanks to the GTA 6 trailer.
Wow.
But Mark Garcia says, got me thinking, what's a song you'd never heard until it showed up in a video game trailer, only for that song to end up in regular rotation in your life ever since?
the year is. Sorry, Jenny, did you want to go? You can go first.
No, I didn't. I was
Okay.
going to say, Charles, what's on your mind? So you actually beat me to it. Thank you.
Oh, we're on the same page. The
Yeah.
year is 2014. The month is June. And during E3, Assassin's Creed Unity debuts a new trailer showing off their multiplayer combat, featuring, I believe, a Lord cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. This was a real formative video game moment for me where I was like, this is gonna be the best, coolest game ever made. I can't think of any reason why that wouldn't be true. I was disappointed, obviously, but I had probably heard the original song before that, but it had never made like a strong impression on me. So that's like the first version that I knew the song Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Oh, weird.
And then backtracked and learned the other version. I like it also, but that was the first time I heard it.
Big ups to the use of Here's to You, Sacco e Vanzetti, or maybe the song is just called Here's to You from the film Sacco e Vanzetti, which is the song used in the Ground Zeroes trailer.
Oh, okay.
Like Here's to You.
Yes,
that was by Joan Baez, who's featured in A Complete Unknown. But like I'm a big fan of most of Kojima's song choices, especially in MGS5. Like The Man Who Sold the World is also a great one, but like that Here's to You was not a song that I was familiar with before then, and it's like it gets stuck in my head fairly frequently still.
I think we told that story on the podcast where Konami sent us that trailer like, hey, post it on GameInformer.com. And then like hours before it was going to go live, they sent an email like, for the love of God, do not post that. We don't have the rights to that song after all. And so I was like, well, we have a trailer for Ground Zeroes. Like, do we not run it? And so we dubbed it over with Jeff Cork singing Turkey in the Straw. And we're like, I think we can technically post this trailer, but I don't think we ended up posting that one even, but it's buried somewhere.
The poor person who had to email that, who probably was having an absolute heart attack trying to fix that before.
Kojima just downloaded it from YouTube and was like, I'd like to use this one. And they were like, no, it doesn't work.
It didn't hit regular rotation necessarily, though I think I did add to a playlist for that year. White Denim's Ha 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 Yeah, the song that plays for the Nintendo Switch launch trailer.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Never heard that song before. Frankly, no shade to White Denim. Haven't really heard of them. So, like, I'm just like, what is this track? I thought it was like super catchy, and that's like to me that's like one of the most iconic trailers ever.
Wait, this
it's
is
not a game, so I'm kind of cheating. But
the reveal for the Switch, or the launch?
Not the reveal. The trailer where they're all doing the rooftop party.
Yeah, that's like the reveal. That was the reveal one.
I couldn't remember if they did something more boring like they did for the Switch 2, so I didn't want to misspeak.
No, the Switch 2 was the boring one for sure.
Yeah, there's no tech flyby on the Switch 1. But yeah, and man, that's such a good trailer too.
It gets the point
Everything
across.
about that time.
It's beautiful.
And the lyrics capture what you're feeling when you play.
That's right, yeah.
Classic, of course, the Gears of War Mad World trailer. I did listen to that Gary Jules cover of Mad World for years after that, but only the last couple years did I listen to the original Tears for Fears, back to Charles's band version of Mad World, and that is such a banger.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing song.
Yeah.
So I was almost like, damn, I was listening to the wrong version for so long.
Does this count? Mass Effect 2's launch trailer with the Two Steps from Hell song, which we've all, even if you don't remember that launch trailer, you know this song. It's like the intro theme to Nathan For You. The dun 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 dun. Like, it's impossible not to get engaged, and like that is still one of my favorite launch trailers, that Mass Effect 2 trailer. It's so damn good. No one wants to admit it, but humanity's at war. Neil McMahon writes in, you all know the rest of the trailer, the dialogue in it. Come on, take it away.
Don't do that.
But Shepard can do
or
that.
do that. The choice is yours.
It's your just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's basically the game.
Neil McMahon writes in, what game has the perfect length? Over the course of the last few years, I've been experiencing gamer fatigue due to games nowadays being incredibly long. I obviously know what I'm undertaking each time, but can't we have a new norm where games are under 40 to 50 hours for completionists? What game has the perfect length?
I'm curious if someone would have an answer to this that's a long game.
I'm also wondering.
Because
I think Rebirth is the answer, Charles, so we can all get that out of the way now. Yeah.
Famously the correct number of hours. That's everyone's big compliment towards it. I really like a game called Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
2018, 2019.
Florence.
Super short, is like 45 minutes to an hour, I think. And it's like musical driven. I don't think there's any dialogue. And that's just one where I've played it. Oh, yeah. Heck
I have that vinyl too, Haley.
Oh, I got to catch up. But yeah, no, it's perfect length, and I've played it several times. I've shown it to people. It's always nice when you can go to someone that like maybe people that don't even play games are like, hey, this is a really cool story and you should play it, and we're going to do it together, and it's shorter than a movie, and you're not going to be annoyed with me the whole time. It'll be very, very in and out. So
it's funny, I went the same way, Charles, of like, I'm thinking about games I've showed my friends and how long their interest can be captivated, which is kind of, I don't know why, because I feel like my patience is so much higher than others. But I always thought Little Nightmares was the perfect length for a little scary thing. And then like my sister loved it, my friend loved it. Like I've seen 3 or 4 people play that game all the way through, and it's just long enough. The pacing's good. When it's done, and the ending's good. It's just an easy recommendation for someone who's like, I want to be a little scared, but not too scared. Like Little Nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, Chad's talking about horror movie or horror games. Like, yeah, mouth washing is one that's like, yeah, you know what? That's perfect.
I mean, you are all picking like short games.
You're right.
Which is
right.
easy.
Yeah. You're right.
But I think about there's a post by, I think it's Head Falls Off on Blue Sky, that's like a 15-hour game is long, but a 25-hour game is short.
Yes.
That which is like I think, you know, one of my favorite games, but Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, like if you play that for the first time and you're like looking for collectibles and you watch all the cutscenes, it's probably like 10 hours long, but like I can beat that game in 4 hours if you just like skip the cutscenes and just run to the arenas. And I feel like that's the kind of like, it can be longer if you want, but if you just want like all killer, no filler, you can like get to it all very quickly is like a fun place for it to be, of just like a game that lets you make it as short as you want, you know, on subsequent playthroughs.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Wow,
Felt
Janet,
like a really good
all right.
game length. Like to me, the idea of perfect like game length, it has to be that you never like kind of do that thing where you're like, how much of this is left? We've all been there, you know.
I hate
Sometimes I'm there before I start the game. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this question secretly what game is paced the best?
Yes,
I
that's
think
really what it's
so.
about.
I think
It's
so.
about pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
I'd
I
also
think there's
throw
most
maybe-
games where there's like there's at least one chunk. Like I was trying to think of a lot of my favorite games. I'm like, you could have cut this part or this amount of it, and it's easier to have a game with no fat left to trim when it's really short.
Yeah, I mean that's why Resident Evil 4 is the best game ever made, is because it is surprisingly long, but there are no parts that you're like, this part again.
Yeah. And there's something about Revelations 2, Janet, too, with like the chapter structure. I think that makes it, because it feels like you're completing little mini arcs with each one, so it kind of strings it along better, I think.
Is Breath of the Wild a sneaky pick? Because
I
you could
thought of it for that.
You could just finish it whenever you want, technically, or hang out as long as you want. So it's up to you.
I think maybe the issue with Breath of the Wild, because this is one that came to my mind too, because that's one where I'm very averse to long games, and Breath of the Wild is one of the few games where I'm like, I don't care that it took me well over 80 hours to beat it. I enjoyed every moment of it. I feel like I wouldn't change anything about that game, but I do wonder if like the steps to traditionally complete it are maybe a little too long, like of doing the Guardians, and then I'm sure you can just run up on Ganon, but no one's doing that except for 3 people on YouTube because they did it first.
Yep.
And the other 2 are mad they weren't the first one to post it. So, but I think that could be in there, because I don't really feel like anything's bogging that game down, really.
Yeah.
Even though it's
you can even
long.
just do one of the Guardians if you wanted.
Yeah, but I'm
And
not
then
good
by that
enough for
time
the
you have
game
a
to
good
do that.
enough-
Haley, I don't know what's going on. I learned how to parry in that game at the end. I'm like, how do I do that? They're like, you can parry. I'm like, what? The first time I did it, like right outside the castle.
Yeah, you did it.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
We were talking about Miles is
That's a
too
good one.
short. I think is Spider-Man 2 the perfectly length that it did?
But is it Miles? Is Miles the best length?
I was gonna say, I
No, I think
Miles
it's too
Morales is
short.
paced. I think it works. I
think
thought
they
Spider-Man
crammed
2 was
too
a
much in.
little too long.
Interesting.
But also, Miles Morales is like contender for my favorite game of all time. So I think that's like a thing to know.
Jesus, that's great to know. I remember when I was shipping a bunch. Holy mother of God!
God, your bias is crazy.
Oh my god.
That's your favorite
Charles
game
has
and you're
never
trying to sneak
played
it in?
another game before.
I'm gonna rotate my camera In the video version, I do have a Into the Spider-Verse poster right behind me.
Yeah, and he's been kissing it throughout most of the
movie.
show. It's pretty distracting.
With tongue.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Venom-like tongue.
Shrek 2? Question mark?
For the game? Yeah.
The movie?
Yeah, I would kiss Shrek.
No, the game.
Oh, yeah, the game.
Because I never felt when we were playing it, I didn't feel like it was too long. Parts
Right.
were too hard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too long.
Here's one.
Leo's the one who had to do the final boss.
It was more of a marathon than I expected, but that was so fun.
It was great.
Maybe it was too long then. Maybe I misspoke. I felt like the time we had together
It-
was the perfect amount of time. But
For sure, it was like thrilling because of its length, so I really can't knock it.
The first Paper Mario is one I put on there. For like an RPG that's like 25 hours, that's like a very unique sweet spot. I know Clair Obscur is kind of on the northern end of that, but for a game that's kind of like as simple and pure as your
Real
first Paper
north.
Mario,
Yeah,
real
that's
north.
way north. What do you mean?
Well, I'm talking like
people
Kyle
are lying
hours.
on that. How long to be? Like, how long can you take? Maybe 25. How long will people take? I don't know.
Yeah.
60 plus.
Yeah.
Tom
Just
Rickard.
this year, Atom Fall was 23 hours, and that felt perfect because I was like right at the end. I was getting one of the endings. I said I might go back and get the others, and then I was like, no, I'm satisfied actually with that. And that felt like, okay, it tapered off right when it needed to. That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Tom Rickard wrote in, says, hey, MinnMax, after hearing Bonus Pod and watching the Brazil travelogue, I found myself really identifying with Jacob, and that a lot of my friends flat out refuse to eat on vacation like Ben. Now that's an oversimplification.
Wait,
I don't
hold on.
believe it or not. This is not summarizing things accurately.
No, it's not. He had an ice cream sundae at 9:30. That's eating.
right. I ate so much ice
How I live,
cream.
baby.
AM.
What are the rest of the crew's eating habits during a trip? Whenever I go on a trip, I'd say 70% of my focus is on eating new food, so hearing Ben skip whole-ass meals sounds completely unhinged. If I may defend myself, Tom Rickard,
Here we go.
and Jacob, you shut
You
your
can,
little
but
mouth.
you have to mute yourself when you do it.
Yeah, no kidding. I ate meals in Brazil. We prioritize meals for like, 2 of the days I didn't eat breakfast at the hotel. I mean...
We didn't prioritize meals. We had like
Jacob's
like
still hungry now, actually.
prioritizing meals is like deciding a place to go where you're going to eat a meal. And we did that 2 days. Or like 2 meals.
Yeah, we did. We had one on that first day, and then we bailed on it because traffic was too bad. It would have taken too long to get there. But like, there were.
Lunch is like
I'm
whatever.
counting the gyoza place as one. I think we did that, and then the breakfast that we had with the Xbox guy were like our 2 planned meals, and then we like ate in the convention center a couple times, and we had like hors d'oeuvres at a party a couple times. But we
Ben's
didn't.
face is just getting sadder. and
We
sadder.
didn't pick cool places to go eat as much as I would have on like a different vacation. But it wasn't a vacation. We were doing work
Yes.
stuff, and so it makes sense that we ate.
Yeah.
at the convention
Yeah.
center.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, a work trip is way different. But I will say Ben doesn't eat on work trips, though, is the thing.
And
Okay,
hey,
now
Ben,
I
we're
just
getting
want to say it's
Remember, Ben didn't
okay.
want to give us lunch, Charles, during SGF. He's like, why do we need time
I
to
never
eat?
said you can't have lunch.
So
You
Ben,
didn't say
I
you
just want to
can't
say
have lunch, but you
you're-
didn't want to give us the slot.
I
Like,
said for
why
my
do we need
own
time?
schedule, I wasn't carving out time 4
I was like,
days
we
from
need
now.
to make sure we eat lunch, and you're like, why do we need to plan for when we're eating?
Well,
Just
there's
find
food trucks
something on the
everywhere.
ground.
Grab a food truck. I was not saying you cannot eat lunch.
So
I just can't believe you still pick questions like this, thinking how it'll go
Yeah,
for
I
you.
know. What were you
It won't be like
expecting?
that.
Ben, it's oh wow, Ben just shut my camera off remotely.
Dude,
Respond. No, I was gonna say it's fine. I don't know why you're so. Why is this so? You're getting real worked up about this. It's okay if you don't eat all the time.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks. I eat. I think it's striking
You're
a
a meal
nerve.
skipper.
Yeah, you are a meal
I
skipper.
often skip breakfast. That is true.
I do skip breakfast as well. I don't like breakfast.
I love breakfast, but I just feel like, especially if you're traveling,
I don't like it.
eating out like 3 times a day. It's like it is a lot of damn food. So if I could just skip out breakfast and not feel like I'm a hulking mass dragging my corpse from one location to the next the entire time, that's a perk.
I used to
I think
get.
Ben just called me fat.
Oh, very much
Is that
so.
What just happened?
Ben just DM'd me.
He was judging us. Yeah, he was judging us when we were eating at SG. He's like, "You're eating again? We just ate yesterday." I was like, okay.
I do want to
Sorry.
say at that SGF, like Janet was like very much like, hey, let's all sit down, let's plan everything, let's get everything worked out. Ben was like, this is way more intense than we need it to be. And in the end, I was like, I'm so glad Janet's here to plan everything out for me, because I know I need it planned out and I don't really have the strength to do it. One of those days, I straight up did not eat. Like, I eventually, I don't think I told you guys about it, but I had like I barely ate a breakfast and I didn't eat until like 4 p.m. And I was like, Janet was right. We should have baked in an hour lunch break, and maybe I got distracted or something. I don't know, but it's hard. It's harder than it seems.
But they'll never say I'm wrong. That's
I was triggered, Janet, debating food with you because I was so mad.
I was triggered, Janet.
I was so mad when I was in LA recently. We were walking.
Oh yeah, you
after the Switch 2 event. Janet's like, well, you don't like to go to restaurants. You don't really like to experience the city when you're visiting them. And I was like, what are you talking about? Let's go choose a restaurant right now. Let's go anywhere in LA. And Janet's like, no, let's go back to eat at the hotel. And after you were pushing for us to eat at the hotel and then accusing me of being a boring eater on travel. And that was the part that made me want to run into oncoming traffic. Of like, what I'm saying right now, let's go anywhere. Let's do anything.
Yes, you were saying right now. But before you said that, you said, oh, let's just eat at the hotel. And I said, sure. And then you're like, what do you mean I'm not adventurous? I'm like, I don't know. You just don't really, you do your work, which is fair. It's a work trip. It's hard to do stuff that isn't work on a work trip.
Hey.
But, some people want to and some people don't.
I was not championing that hotel. I was not championing that hotel.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Where we ate, though, it was good. It was a good meal. I marked it down. I would totally go back. We had a nice meal at some pub. Good smash burger. Had a dinner.
It was lovely.
Like 2 people.
It was lovely.
What was the question here? How do we eat on vacation?
Yeah, what is everyone's eating habits?
Yeah, it was just like, why
It
has Ben
doesn't feel
wronged
relevant
you?
anymore.
Yeah, just kind of the regular stuff.
Ben's
I do love
gonna binge
food
eat the
for
whole
travel.
next work trip we go.
I'm never going to stop
the
eating.
whole time.
And I can't touch ice cream anymore now.
Janet, what was the line you wrote down from Despelote about losing soccer games?
Oh.
Because I feel like that describes Ben's defense of himself just now.
We played like never before, but we lost like always. Definitely
That's how it felt.
that energy for sure.
God damn it. Sunny D22 writes in and says, hey, cohort. It's plural for no reason. What are the SGF plans this year? Who's going? And if Ben is going, can we please get another fashion montage? No, my fashion's actually perfected, so there's no reason for any more fashion montage. But yes, I think mentioned it briefly in the past, but this year for Summer Game Fest, it is Janet who's holding down the fort in LA, and then Jacob Geller.
Traumatizing people.
That's right. And then Jacob Geller and Kelsey Lewin are going out there for the 3 of them for the SGF crew.
Awesome.
Round of applause, everybody at home. Round of applause into the microphone, please. Please, crew. Chris Pelly asks, how much preparation for SGF is already done? And what % is left to do? Jacob, how are you feeling about SGF? Do you feel prepped? Are you overwhelmed by the amount of emails you get about it when you sign up for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've never done something like this before. And even going to Gamescom was different because we weren't really setting up like meetings in the same way that I am for this. But like also it's a lot of kind of reactive preparation where like if I had to go right now, I think it would be fine. And then I just kind of get an email, once or twice a day that's like, hey, do you want to do this? And then I see if I can fit it into the schedule. And maybe I'll get to the day and be like, oh my God, I have so many things on my schedule. I like booked way too much or way too little. But like I feel good. I think like if it was tomorrow and I had a chance to pack, I would be like, I'm ready to go.
It's not too bad. It's a lot of emails, but played this game before. SGF packs, it's always the same dance. So just, trying to book stuff, making sure you don't overbook, double book, double checking what you booked, stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's shaping up pretty nicely. I feel like kind of similarly, like if it happened tomorrow, I would do very little different tonight. I'd wish my apartment was cleaner, but other than that kind of stuff, because I do tend to, if I can, really like prep everything I can. Like I clean up my place. I know what is going on. I have meals that are like ready to go when I get home. Like I just kind of, I don't know what's going on and things, and kind of set up my week for hopefully success, like getting a good night's sleep, trying to like be as involved in events without burning myself out, especially for a lot of like, late night stuff. I also do feel like I really need to be on it because like this is my hometown. So it's like where I live. So it's like, okay, I have home game advantage. I can't be the tired. How are you tired and you're sleeping in your own bed? Like, but it's not too wild of a time. It's only a couple days. And I think we did a good job kind of thinking a little bit about what's going on outside of SGF. There's stuff like the mix happening, which should be fun to check out. I'm sure other things will pop up as people, show up and maybe they have their own events as an outlet. And we're going to go to a Dodgers-Mets game. I think that's going to be really fun. So nice to have something fun in LA that's on the calendar that also we haven't done before. So that'll be cool to include in the travel log, a couple snippets of the stadium. And I'll be excited to see who wins because we're split down the middle of the, are we split down the middle? How many people were? 3? We're not split down the middle. We would be. I'm the Dodgers fan, then you guys are Mets. So we'll see. I don't know what happens if who wins what, if someone has to buy something. I'm not really sure. We'll figure out something fun for it.
Speaking of Mets, you met Kelsey the other day, Jacob. What the hell's going on?
Kelsey.
I was so surprised with that. You just
this is a random
yeah,
drop
and we
in the
didn't
chat.
make it content, Ben.
How dare you? That's an attack on our livelihood.
Whenever Ben replies, "Can I post this on Instagram?" It definitely feels like dadcore. Like, hey, honey, is it okay if we post this?
We took that picture knowing that it would be posted on the MinnMax Instagram. It's fine. But yeah, Kelsey's in Durham. Her and her partner are here visiting her grandma. And so, she's just like, hey, I got here. My grandma's busy. You want to go get dinner? And so me and Annie were like, yeah, let's go get some Durham dinner.
That's perfect. Walk us through it. First reactions to Kelsey.
So make it content now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to talk about the food, but Ben's not interested in that.
No.
No.
Why would you eat dinner?
Okay, come on, guys. Be nice. Be cool. Come on.
No, it was like, it was... I don't know. It almost immediately, it was just like, oh yeah, this is someone that I've talked to for 100 hours. So there was very little like, weird real life. Like, yeah, it was fine, and it was a great dinner, and her boyfriend's cool, and like we had a good old time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he's hiding stuff.
And we did, for those curious, we went to Ex Voto in the Durham Food Hall, which has these crunch wraps. They're like Taco Bell, but like super actually good crunch wraps. And then we took those to go and we went to Surf Club and had them at Surf Club. That's for all the Durhamites out there.
That's right. Recreate the night for yourselves at home or outside of your home. James Elder writes in, they say, with the announcement of Giant Bomb being bought by Jeff Grubb and Jeff Bakalar and going fully independent, what advice do you have for them as fellow independent games media? Any possibilities of collaboration in the future, perhaps as a way to save on costs for shared host spaces like Summer Game Fest? Yeah, you guys should just sleep in their hotel rooms, if that's an option, I think.
I'm used to sharing beds at this point.
That's great. Yeah, super exciting. Super happy for that team that they got Giant Bomb independent away from fandom. It is a wild, wild thing. And obviously, Grubb in particular, but everybody over there has been super sweet. But Grubb, I feel like, has been maybe beating the drum the loudest of like, we want to collaborate with more independent game creators. It's so nice that we're not competitive. And so, yeah, that'll be obviously fun to overlap with them in some big ways. If you're wondering why last week on the podcast, we didn't really talk about the death of Giant Bomb that much. It was like, it felt like 80% Polygon and 20% Giant Bomb. I was like, because I knew Giant Bomb was coming back. So it's like, it was like a weird conversation to have. And to like be like, never count Dan Reichert out. Ugh. Let's see what happens on Saturday. But yes, very exciting for that entire team. And we should have some more content on that front pretty soon. So look forward to that.
Rivalry, please.
Oh, you want to?
Oh, let's have a fake beef.
Yeah, everything we're on together, it could be competitive, yeah.
Okay. You guys should do like a Olympics.
Charles,
MinnMax
have you seen our Google Doc of ideas? Because you are very,
I
very
haven't.
warm.
That's a great idea.
All right,
you guys
there we go.
Play Mario and Sonic at the Olympic game. I'll stop saying all your ideas out loud.
Which side is Game Informer on? Who are they rooting for? MinnMax?
Mario or Sonic.
Actually, well, I say obviously. Maybe we'll be split down the middle.
No, don't be split.
No.
It's Dodgers Mets all over again. For the middle doesn't split evenly.
Yeah, I think we're more closely aligned with MinnMax specifically because of me and Kyle.
Mm-hmm. We're cousins at least. Hauling Gas writes in, "Hey friends, in a non-parasocial way." You better fix that. Don't call us
Love
friends.
you.
No, Haley, no. What are some games that you've put on pause recently? Games you've put on pause that you already know you probably won't go back to finish.
Ooh. I don't like confessing these
Wander
things.
Stop. I really thought I was going to finish Wander Stop, but I don't think I'm going to go back.
Low key, it might be the same for me.
Wow.
But
Hey,
it's so short that I'm like, I should just finish it.
I know.
Am I gonna?
you can
I already
bang it
forget how
out.
to make tea. I know there's a bunch of rules and stuff. I already forget them.
They have
there's
so many
there's
books.
a book that just tells you exactly how to do
Yeah,
the game.
but then
Okay,
like,
well, maybe we
I
just don't want to
remember
do it,
who
okay,
asked for
Jacob?
what? One guy was like, "I want coffee." I can't remember what the rules were for making that.
It's literally all in a
There's a
series of
coffee
books.
bean.
They really are very clear.
But
Jacob,
Does
you know
the
what,
bean
Haley?
go
It's
in
fine.
with the
It
tea
doesn't-
pouch thing, or on its own?
I finished it because I felt bad about not finishing it, and like I had a fine time, but also if I quit at the part where you started making coffee, I also would have had a fine time.
okay, yeah, we haven't touched on it without spoiling anything. Yeah, I mean, ending the most interesting part. I'm curious, like where you landed on it overall.
No, I think
kinda-
kind of the like a twist that you find out in the middle is kind of the most interesting, and then it is more what I expect. Like there was like the season where you like don't make any tea for anyone.
Yeah.
You know, like that. I thought that was like the best part of the game, and then the rest of it kind of went. Like I thought it was good all the way through, but I wasn't like, thank God I finished this, or
Yeah.
I wouldn't have understood what it was doing.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
That makes
Yeah.
me really not want to finish it then.
There's always those games where it's like, I feel like if I never play this again, my life will be fine. And I fear that might be one of the, even though I did think it was like, it was fine, but it's like, it's fine enough for when I got blueprints waiting for me after Claire.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I would,
I gotta be honest.
For me,
with
it's a vowed.
Yep, same here.
Both because I no longer have Xbox Game Pass, but also like I guess I spent too long in the first two maps where I was just like, there are like 4 more of these. No thanks, and just kind of immediately fell off.
team don't finish avowed. Let's go.
Jenna,
I
I
think it's
could
kinda
see
cool.
I could see they not like us playing in your head as you were pumping your fist there. You were just like,
Yeah, I'm an avowed hater. I don't think that
Yeah.
game is very good, and everyone really likes it, which is fine. But I'm like, I'm just gonna be quiet during 210s because you don't want to hear what I gotta say about it.
How many of those people who said they really liked it have finished it? I am
That's the
genuinely
thing,
curious.
and that's
Haley!
and Jacob, the hater in me is like, okay, but because every now and then there's some games where I'm like, I don't think they're like, well, you haven't finished it though, so it's like,
Hang on, Janet.
Yeah, Ben,
Haley,
you and
feel free to
Leo
run it
both really seem to like it, at least on the
I have-
episode.
I liked
46
it.
hours in it, and I didn't finish it, and I probably won't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, 46 hours is still a lot.
that's still
I
a
know.
lot. How close to the ending are you?
Probably 2 hours away.
Oh!
That's
dude.
actually
See,
such a
I
mood
wouldn't-
though. Because you're like,
No,
I basically
you're-
finished it. Why would I need
you're
to
better
finish
than
it?
me because I would never be able to leave a game with just like the little bit left. I would have
Yeah.
to finish it
But
because I'm
all the
sick.
big
My disrespect for the
decisions
art form.
happen in the last like hour that culminate to the big finale.
Yep.
Like that game's such a choice thing. It's like, are you naughty? Are you good? Are you doing this or that? And at the end, it's like, which one? And you're like, this one. And then it gives you your big ending.
You guys say the big ending, Leo.
I can't hear you, Leo.
I answered mine, so we can move on to the next question now.
He's not finishing blueprints.
Really?
No,
So
what?
Leo, I was gonna say the same thing. I'll stand in solidarity with you real quick. We'll hold hands. So, but I want to hear your reason before saying my reason though.
I hope to go back to it, but you know, I've lived as me for a long time, and I probably won't. It's just been
Leo!
like a few sessions in a row. Let me boot up and do a couple runs, and nothing happens. And I was defending it against that for a long time. I
Yep.
said the exact opposite of what I was
this
saying.
is
Like,
a
you got to be patient. You
betrayal.
got to look for different answers every time. But sometimes there's just nothing in those runs, and they take a while.
Oh no.
But you've seen credits,
No.
Leo.
Naughty, naughty.
After
so
all
I-
that
That's
talk and bonus pod for not.
Well, so then Charles, did you beat it then?
This is
So
a huge blow.
here's my reason. So I did see credits, but it's one of those games like you see credits and it's like I feel like I haven't even done anything.
Yeah.
I was playing it every night religiously with my partner, and then made the mistake of during the morning meeting Monday at Game Informer, they're like, "Hey, this game Blueprints is pretty popular. Has anyone got any time to review?" I was like, "Oh, I played 17 hours." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, Charles, you should review it." And so now it's not a fun game in the evenings anymore. Now it's work. And so I did procrastinate enough to play all my playtime in the evenings, like the next 2 or 3 nights with Alyssa. But then I made like a video of it for TikTok, and now it's a thing where it's like I do want to sit down and I do want to play it in because I liked it a lot. I hit credits and I was like, there's still so much more to do, but it's like a work game now, and that kind of like sours it for me.
Sure.
Also, just seeing the hour counts of like people who are really into it on Blue Sky, like Rebecca Valentine was like 120 hours. I think I've finally seen everything, and I was like, that is not making me sign up for that game.
But it's kind of exactly what we were talking about before, wasn't it? Of like, you can finish it, but if you really want to keep digging in, then...
But I feel like I won't see like the cool stuff in it. Also, I'm just not gonna. Sorry, same as Lorelai. I don't like puzzle games. Many people in Brazil were like. So many people in Brazil were like, Jacob, I cannot wait for your blueprints video. And I'm like, that is not my taste in games. I'm sorry.
It's way less puzzly than Lorelai.
Yeah, I actually like it as a non-puzzle person, but I have fears with blueprints. I really am still loving that game. But I started playing Claire and I was like, I love this a lot more. And I'm spending all my time with that. And I worry that when I go back to blueprints, that's not going to work out, or that maybe I just don't go back. But I feel really confident that I'm going to go back, but I'm scared because I'm also me still, same way Leo is him.
Unfortunately, it's all true.
We're starting to catch on.
Yeah. I refuse to catch on though. I'm going to will for ignorance. I will finish this game.
Respect.
Mike Fab.
Sarah and I fighting for it, I think.
That's right. Mike Fab.
I love hours 2 to 15 were incredible, and I will hang on to that.
Yeah, but you didn't finish, and that's the thing that these guys are all going to latch on, Leo. We talked about this.
We're going to tear you
never bothered
apart.
to finish it. What's the point?
We're not having this conversation. That's why Arco's not on the 210s, because I finished it too late.
That's right.
And I'm like, damn.
What are we to
No
do?
one will know that it was
Arco
good.
was good. It was my honorary 210.
That's right. Yeah, you squeezed it in there. Mike Fab writes in, says, hey, CLCs, I have a missed joke opportunity. Last week when you were deciding question of the week, you said Anna was the guest of honor. You should have said guest of Anna. Yeah. That burns. Yeah. That burns. There's no doubt. Kicking it says you all seem to have zillions of side things on the go. That's us. If you could pick one of them to take off and be your full-time focus, what would it be?
I would love to paint full time and just relax and paint. I used to just paint dogs and cats to make money so that I could paint. Then I had to get a real job.
Oh, yeah.
I love painting. It's so brain turn off. I feel like a human being experiencing life. If that was your profession, that'd be bomb.
Do you think if it was like a real job and not like a fantasy question job, would it hurt your enjoyment of it? Like if you like had to wake up and paint every day, even if you didn't want to?
I think it would have to be, I'm so financially secure that I get to paint. And someone wants to buy this. I think that
you're like selling the paintings at like 50 bands, for a painting.
And then I'll have like a Maud Lewis situation where I die and then they're all worth millions. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would love to do video essays full time, obviously, at least to just see how that feels, because I do feel like there's a chance it's like not social enough so much of the process. Of course, I would miss MinnMax so bad if I was just in my own little world, but I'm curious how productive I would be or whatever, how that would work out. Yeah. But if I had to pick a interesting answer, it would be when I used to stream every week, once a night. I wish I could put so much resources into making one weekly stream awesome, like hyper produced with segments and stuff. I would love to work on a live experience like that.
What type of segments would you have in mind? What would you want to do?
Not quite steal them.
Yeah, it's neutral plus material.
Not all the way to Windbag-esque, probably.
Yes. Yep.
But I feel like a lot of graphics and settings, and I would, of course, end up doing some kind of story, because I know myself.
And he's a narrative king.
If there's one thing to remember from this episode.
Liam knows himself.
No, I am with you on that front, where like I feel like I'm never great at streaming, but it is that idea of like, what if I could just pause everything else in my life and just spend a year like, and just to have like a period of time where I'm like, that is me giving it my all on Twitch, which I feel like I've never personally done. It's just like,
you're already a step ahead of so many other people who try that, because people know who you are and would like to watch you play things.
Right.
You just need the time.
I guess, and it'll never come. And so I will just sacrifice that Twitch will just be me playing a game politely. And that seems just fine.
Was it cool that we were cyberbullying you in your last stream, by the way? We never really talked about it after, but we were being pretty mean to you in that stream.
So talking about it here seems like the best spot.
Yeah.
In the Soda Pop one?
No, and the Clear Obscure one when we were bullying you.
Oh, that was a nightmare. Yeah, that was a complete nightmare.
All of Pew Pew Bang showed up in the chat. We were like, you stupid.
Yeah.
Look at the garbage can. Idiot.
And then Ben was like, y'all in here on a Friday night? Couldn't be me. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, we're like, all right, that's valid. I wrote on our Pew Pew Bang channel, Ben's live, and then we all just went there like
Oh,
the
is that what it
Avengers.
was? Was that the rallying cry?
Well,
Like
no,
the
I was
Avengers.
already
hate.
in there.
Janet
mind
was in
you,
there
okay?
first, yeah.
And I'm the biggest loser on the beach, okay? Let's make that clear.
I was more upset about, there was a bunch of folks watching the new show Plus with Pop Leo the 14th. Of course, check it out. It's on YouTube now. But as I was editing it, I was like, oh, every time I set up the new Pop in the thing, it was just a big old butt crack front and center in the camera. And I'm like, no one gave me a heads up in chat that like my ass was hanging out
Notice your crack.
that entire stream. So
I noticed how every time you set up a pop, it was like, all right, boys, stick it in the hole, right here, in the hole, in the
Right,
hole.
right,
Like
right.
every time.
Why
it was
did that
like,
stand
is
out
this
to
a
you?
bit? But it wasn't a bit. You were just saying that over and over.
no bits here. We're just repeatedly saying, hey, boys, stick it in the hole.
And you could make it a bit retroactively by including all your crack shots.
I don't understand what you guys are getting at.
Crack supercut, yeah.
Charles, I assume it would be being a GM, full
Thank
time.
you. I am also a DM. But no, yeah, I recently stopped doing it
Frickin'
because I have
BM.
a full-time job now and it's a lot of work. But that's like a weirdly, I was going into it being like, hey, if you pay me, I'll run a game for you. And I was honestly mainly thinking of like, this is just like a way to make money on the side. And then I was doing it, I was like, oh, these are really nice people and they really like playing these games. And actually, this is super fun. Every time I like, in the lead up to it, I'd be like, oh, I have a work thing on Saturday. And then I got, I'm like, wait a minute, we're all rolling little dice and making up stories together. This is the best thing ever.
And the dice are so
And I
little.
didn't have any like, I don't know, real butt cracks, so to speak.
Is that right?
Showing up in the middle of the thing. Everyone was nice. I also think everyone found me through MinnMax. So maybe it's a testament to just MinnMax as a bunch of cool people.
Nice.
It was nice. It was good.
And butt crack centric perverts. Other than that, yeah, they're a great community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Common
I mean, they're
interest.
not. To be clear, they're not butt crack centric perverts because no one mentioned it. Everyone was like, "Yeah, this is normal and fun."
But
said, "Ooh,
Chan
this is a little
Chan
treat
is
just
saying
for
in the
me."
back, I wasn't going to mention the ass I did hate. I think people were just like, oh, I just wrote right about this.
Maybe he'll never find out.
Yeah, Jacob Gaylor, can you write down Blood on the Tracks, but a parody album called Butt on the Cracks? Could you just write that down real quick?
Oh yeah.
Writing it down. Writing it down.
Thank you.
Charles, has your first improv show come and gone?
That was gonna be my plug, but that'll be that's every Thursday for me now. I made the I'll plug it now. Why not? What a great segue. If you live in the Dayton area, every Thursday I'll be performing at the Dayton Black Box Theater as an improviser on stage with some of my improv teammates. I think that's what they're called. That's a team. For like the next 6 months, that's my slot.
Sweet.
And is it too
Cool.
early to say whether you do it as a full-time job? Have you been enjoying it so far?
I would not do it as a full-time job, but I think I just like that it's a good complement to all of my like sitting in front of a screen digital stuff. It's just nice to go to a place in person, and like I hadn't really met people. I moved up here from Cincinnati, so I didn't know a lot of people around here. So I was like, oh, I have friends now, and when Leo comes to town to try Skyline, I have a bunch of people to be like, hey, what is Dayton stuff? So I like it as like a compliment. It's a nice side of sauce, but I wouldn't want my meal to be all sauce,
Right on.
Right. Janet, I feel like this question was for you, and you've been eerily quiet. You have the most side things, don't you?
Yeah, pick one podcast.
Oh, that's not what the question was. I'd go back and negotiate the rates on the podcast that I'm on.
Consulting?
No, because I don't like the only thing I don't like about consulting is the fact that you usually can't disclose, and I like being a public game critic. The thing I like about consulting is just that it's just pure criticism, and so that's great. At least with what I do for it, where I do like mock reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be writing, like the stuff I do on my website, Pens and Pixels. Yeah, I guess it'd be that. But I would also, if I could only do that, I would be missing the podcasting.
Yep.
Is the thing. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. The spirit of the question, maybe just podcasting, because I don't think I could let go of that aspect, but yeah, I like doing everything. So
Yeah.
it's tough.
It would be kind of fun to just focus on video editing. There's like nothing else, just full-time job as a video editor. That'd be
Really?
I think
You wouldn't want the content making side?
You wouldn't want to like talk to people?
I think it'd be
I
okay.
feel like you love interviewing people so much.
I've said enough. Maybe eventually I would be
Your
driven
background
mad.
is production, no? Wasn't that your role at Game Informer? You're like video producer?
That's right. And before that even.
You're quick at editing.
Oh, thank you.
You'd be good at it. I watch random things like reality shows or whatever where it's like, oh, you had to stitch so much together in
Yes.
the editing room to make a story out of this. And I go, if that was my job, I would hate editing with my whole heart in 2 weeks. Like that much pouring through stuff to barely get something to work out of it.
Right. Meanwhile, I just watch Survivor and think, God, if I could be on the editing team on Survivor, I'd frickin' kill it.
Beautiful.
Final Sin writes in. What a cool name. They say, hello, everybody. What's the voice inside your head sound like? Does it sound like you or someone else?
I said, ugh, when I read this question, and I thought, what does that voice sound like? It sounds like me, I think. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird
Sounds
if it
like
was somebody
myself.
else? Like, does anyone?
Yeah, wouldn't that be weird?
Does someone have someone else in their head?
I don't have a voice in my
Haley-
head.
That's right. I remembered this. Haley doesn't have a voice in her
I'm
head.
Googling
Okay,
what
so
that
are you?
is called.
Is it like? Do you also have that thing where when I say apple and you picture the apple, you just see the word?
Aphantasia.
Okay, so can you explain what's going on in there?
I have Epic Mickey.
I have Epic Minky.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right here. My condolences.
I think it's like not that uncommon, but still not the majority of people. It's like, it's a spectrum. It's like when I say apple, you could see a perfect apple. You could kind of see a abstract kind of, you get the gist apple. You could see like the outline shape, or you could see absolutely nothing. And I'm just on the far side where I see absolutely nothing. Like the other side of the spectrum is photographic memory. People who can categorize and cache images within their mind. And most human beings are just like the normal middle where it's like, I can picture things in my head. But I was talking to my partner about this, and we were just like drunk one evening. I'm like, reading must be awesome. I'm like, you just see all the book? He's like, yeah. I'm like, damn it. I think I have the
Haley,
way worse
when
thing.
if you read, is there like a voice saying the words inside your head, or does that?
No.
So you're just.
It's like watching a movie.
It's really hard to describe the thinking process, but it is. Yeah, I like. Is it just pure like abstraction, or are you like? Is it just like word? Like what?
I don't know
You
how to
have to think of
describe it.
something
How,
right
how do
now.
your thoughts
What would-
occur to you?
It's just like a negative space where the things that are being communicated to me are communicated, but no visualization is attached to that. Does that make sense?
So here's a question I have. So let's say you're looking at a piece of paper and it's like a text chat.
Yeah.
And the user icon on the left, it's like Mickey Mouse's face.
Minky
and it
Mouse.
says, "Oh boy, how's it going?" And then you see another one and it's like Wario's face and he says, "Haha, I'm Wario. It's Wario time." Right. Are you reading those in the characters' voices? Like now that there's some context provided and you're like, this is the character? Or are you just like, that would just be what they say? That's so Mickey.
There's no sound at all. I don't hear a sound, which I almost feel like I'm being gaslit that you guys hear sounds in your head, which I feel like no, you don't.
Haley,
you just think you do.
Here's the weird part is
Well,
like,
I think true, but like that's that's perception. Like I just think I see things.
I know, but
it's like electrical
I think
signals
that
being
when you say
communicated
you
to my
think
brain.
you think you hear something, I think you think you think you hear something.
Haley, the weirdest part of this conversation is I think consciousness and awareness and thoughts are so weird and abstract that I'm like, I'm not convinced that we're all not exactly on the same page, but just have different ways of describing it.
Sure,
no, like
yeah.
they've done like several studies on aphantasia. The voice thing, I don't know, but aphantasia is a thing where it's just like, you don't think I want to see stuff? Sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I practice trying to see stuff when I'm in that weird in-between phase of almost asleep awake. And I think I see something and I try to chase it, but it's just like nothing ever apparates.
Do you have dreams?
Yeah, I dream, but again, I don't, like when you wake up, I didn't just see those things. It all happened in my brain.
But you saw them in
just
the
how
dream.
brains work.
Like dream
I
about
didn't, in the
visuals,
same way
kind
I
of.
see I don't see anything when I think of the dream afterwards. I didn't see anything.
So when you dream, and
Can we do a new show plus on this? Because I need like an hour.
but here's the part. Here's the part that
an
I don't
hour
get.
every week of asking Haley, like, I want you to read this and you tell me what it looks like.
When you said on Pew Bang that you had a dream where you made sweet love to Ichiban, and it was a beautiful moment,
Yeah, it was awesome.
but you don't have a visual.
happened.
You
The
just
lights were
remember
off.
that as like a text file.
That's the part. Like, how do you remember
I
that? That's
made
what I
love
don't
to
get.
Ichiban. It's like how
Yeah.
you remember it.
The closest thing I can get to explaining this, and I've thought about it a lot, is, and this is so nerdy, but Plato has a philosophy of everything has a form that you can never conceptualize, which I think I've talked about in this. Like, so when I say spoon, Jacob might think of a spoon that's like a teaspoon, and Charles might think of a tablespoon, and Janet might think of a ladle, which is technically, you know what I mean? We could all think of a spoon,
But a jerk one. No, just
but ultimately
of a
there's
ladle, I
like,
think of-
I don't know what, yeah, Janet, the idiot, would think of
Exactly. I got the worst one, Haley. Okay. I was like, oh, she's definitely gonna say soup spoon. She's like, oh, a ladle? I don't know.
Janet's so
That's a
stressed.
spoon without a handle.
Janet's so stressed about SGF, she's just furiously polishing ladles, hoping she'll have utensils for them when they come over.
manual collection.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
yeah, there's like one ultimate like form of spoon that like philosophically everyone can agree on exists, but no one could ever conceptualize / materialize. And that is the spoon. And I think that's how I think. I don't see a spoon, but I go spoon, and I know what a spoon is because I've experienced life, but I don't need to look at a picture of a spoon to know what a spoon is. My brain just goes spoon, and I go spoon.
I need to look at a picture.
Spoon.
Yeah.
You sound like a
Spoon.
monkey. Yeah.
Spoon.
I only eat with pictures of spoons.
But what's funny is the only other person I've ever met who has aphantasia is the other Haley at my law office, and we talked about it a lot. And she thinks it helps her be a better lawyer because she gets to cut through the fluff and read things really analytically.
Right.
Which I'm like, oh, interesting. So it's like if you read a paragraph and you need to understand the logic of it in like 2 seconds and not like visualize this concept there, you can be like, if A happens, then B, if B happens, then C, if C never happens, then A, B, C. You can like think of things more like that.
Right.
In a faster way. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a nice way. I really wish I didn't because I'd rather see books in my head because that sounds lit.
It is
But
pretty lit.
anyways.
That's why we never watch movies. Once you learn how to read, goodbye films. Raise your hand though if you think with your voice. If you're confident that it's your voice. Really?
Everyone raise
Most
their
of
hand
the time-
Haley. And Ben?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Did you raise your hand, Ben?
No, it's a thought, but I don't think of it as having my voice.
Probably low-key aphantasia.
I know, I got something.
Ben, did you when I said the whole like Mickey picture, Wario picture thing, would you read that in their voices?
I
Like,
was
you
just
can
thinking
hear
about Haley
voices?
having sex with Ichiban.
Well, no, you're the one that brought that up, Ben. So I don't know why.
He's not really thought about it.
No, yeah, I can imagine Mario's voice. Is that what you're asking me?
I think it depends
Yeah.
on how focused my thinking process is. Am I thinking like because technically you're always thinking, right? It's like, am I thinking passively? Then I don't hear anything. But if I'm trying to think through something, I am thinking very actively. Like, and I'm hearing my voice say it back. It'd be like, okay, so it's like I have, it'd be like, like if it was directions or something, it's like, okay, it's left, and then at this thing it's a right, and I'd hear myself like say that to some degree. But if it's just like I'm sitting here, I'm sure thoughts are like formulating as y'all are talking, but I'm not hearing myself and then repeating those thoughts into the mic.
Yeah.
No,
that
the
would slow down the
Right.
pod a lot.
It's all in the background.
Yeah, but it is like, it's like my job essentially is writing in my voice. And so
Yeah,
like when
I get
I'm like writing, it is like I am hearing myself say it as I write it. And that also happens like sometimes when I'm thinking. But yeah, it's like when someone says something and I am like immediately like, here's a joke that I can say, it skips all the like needing to verbalize things, or maybe it just happens really quickly. Like I don't know. It's hard to exactly figure out how these happen. But like I definitely, when I'm thinking about stuff, I'm thinking in Jacob voice.
It says here,
I have a think-
50 to 70% of people do not have or infrequently have a constant. Wait, what? That's never mind. AI stupid nonsense. Stupid
No, I want to hear what AI thinks we think.
Scroll down, Haley.
50%
Scroll
of
further
people
down.
don't have an inner monologue. It could be as low as 20.
Huh.
I
mean,
heard
I'm
once
monologuing the
that
whole
like
thing,
90% of people dream in black and white. People just be saying things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only 30 to 50% of people have internal monologues, says the medium.
And I think that's
65% of people have a podcast. And
yeah.
it'll be up to 85 by 2026.
And those people are using more than 10% of their brain as well. So it's like the stacked
Yeah.
percentages. Like you have to use more of your brain to hear your own voice, I think.
Right.
Tan writes in, of course, and they say, I hope that was clear. Everyone leave a comment below about what's happening in your brain and how you want to express it.
It's crazy though, because
What's
you
happening
don't
in my
realize
brain? Can you solve that?
You would just assume everyone thinks the same way, but I would love to like Freaky Friday somebody and be like, oh, whoa, thinking's crazy. Like imagine if someone's brain just thinks different.
But
That'd
you
be
can't
I
nuts.
because
assume
you
that I would
impact
like
it.
immediately go insane if I was exposed to someone else's
you're
way of
probably right.
thinking.
You, like, right away.
It would be just like reality would cease.
But
to,
also,
like,
you
make
couldn't.
Freaky
sense.
Friday,
couldn't.
you're just in the body. Your mind is still in their body, Haley. So that won't.
Basic
But your
Freaky
brain
Friday
doesn't
stuff.
transport.
Yeah, thank you.
Your soul
Yes, it
or
does.
whatever.
Everything,
No,
your
we
whole
can't.
consciousness
No, we
goes
can't.
through your
No,
body.
okay, no,
Brain
stop,
went
stop.
And Freaky Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis.
We can't do this.
That's what makes it freaky.
No, what do you mean?
The
this
souls.
is like this is the whole point of this.
Yeah, why are we having these dumb questions and comments if you don't want us to get crazy?
You don't
Look,
want to define a soul. Yeah.
all I know
Yeah, your
is
soul goes in there. It's just that you have their body.
I'm going to Fandango and
taller.
getting tickets to Freakier Friday right now. Can't wait. Tan writes in, you guys watch that trailer for Freakier Friday where they get swapped again?
I don't want to watch that.
And ask that.
Yeah, Tan keeps trying to butt in. We get it, Tan. Get out of my head, Tan. So Tan writes in and says, there has been considerable confusion on the internet. In my mind, I read that perfectly. So there's been confusion on the internet. So I'd like MinnMax to settle it once and for all. Can you give an example of a AAA game, a AA game, an A game, a B game, and a quad A game? Piece of cake. We can do this with our eyes closed.
Triple A,
A.
GTA 5.
Skull and Bones.
Whoa.
Quad A.
Whoa. Okay, whoa. Hang on.
We're starting at Skull and Bones?
GTA. That's
They
that's
said
quad
it was.
is GTA has to be quad A or nothing.
It's exactly.
If that's
GTA
on the tier list.
Yes,
that's where
GTA
is.
6
Oh, I didn't
has to be
realize
quad
quad A
A.
was there, okay.
Yeah,
Thrown
GTA
in at the
Doesn't
end out of
even
order, I
really
understand.
exist.
What about
It's
Quad
just-
O?
But Charles is
Yeah,
right that
right.
Ubisoft said Skull and Bones was quad A, so we'll put Skull and Bones in there out of respect. I want to note
okay.
Yeah,
that
sure.
EA and Visceral also insisted that Army of Two Devil's Cartel was a quad A game during that cover story at Game Informer because they said at Visceral we have a saying here, which is quad A all day.
So quad A is between B and C.
It's somehow below AA.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so
Like
that,
golf rules or something. I don't
that's
know.
pretty clear. I mean, the core idea is this is ultimately, I've heard it described as like, this just means marketing budget, which is a nice way of looking at what these terms mean, right? So in my mind, like thinking of just like stereotypical AAA game, I was like,
Uncharted 3.
great. Yep. I was
yeah,
thinking
perfect.
I was thinking Spider-Man 2, the previously mentioned, that's even on that upper tier. Like you could make a case for like God of War Ragnarok being a quad A, but whatever. This is nonsense, right? But that's how I think of it.
Yeah.
Double A is interesting.
Hellblade?
Split Fiction?
So of course,
Split Fiction.
I like
people make this
Fiction's a
mistake
good
a lot,
one.
Jacob. With Hellblade, of course, that was triple A, but independent is how Ninja Theory represented that. So
But
Hellblade.
it's been enough that we can admit that they were wrong and they were making a AA game,
I
right?
think that's right. Like I think Split Fiction is a good example. Mine was South of Midnight. I think is a good AA tier.
Yeah. I like a lower price as an indicator there. That feels
You're
like
right.
a clean.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So Helldivers 2 would be AA, I suppose.
Yeah, that
I
feels
don't know.
is
It's
weird in
really
retrospect.
shiny looking.
It's shiny.
I feel like the other ones have a certain art. I don't know.
Can you
guess,
evolve
maybe.
from AA to AAA? Because I I feel like Helldivers 2 might have done that.
You have
Like,
to
I feel like it was popular
trade
enough
to
that it feels weird.
evolve. Yeah.
Because it does,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it feels like, it does feel like Helldivers 2 was, it's like there's a level of polish and scale that even if your budget is small, does seem to kind of thrust you into AAA. And Helldivers seems there at the, it's like, it feels largely indistinguishable from a multiplayer game that had the budget of, a Call of Duty or something.
Okay, so what about this? This is all about wrinkle on that front, Jacob. Minecraft. Put it on the chart.
Wow.
Minecraft in 2012?
No, that's
Minecraft
sure.
now AAA.
AAA. It's weird.
If it gets its own dedicated like showcase,
Launcher?
that's got to be a
Launcher,
AAA.
Launcher's another level, yeah. So the single A, rarely used single A, it feels like it's not even a thing, but
No.
I mean, it's interesting you say Split Fiction. My example for this was like A Way Out.
It's
like,
a
is
double
that-
A for Split Fiction.
I know. I'm saying, but I said like A Way Out
Okay.
for single A game, like, but even
It
that
starts
was
with
probably
letter A.
that's exactly it.
I think
it was
A Way
the same,
Out
no?
is still.
But it has two A's in the title though, so
Oh,
it's kind
God.
of confusing.
Oh wait.
Like, isn't
AA out.
is there a difference between A and I, or are we just like pretending that there's not?
A and
just
I.
like
Yeah, like
artificial
indie.
intelligence. No, like it isn't single A just indie.
I think so.
Yeah.
Has to
I
be.
think,
think
it's,
so.
It's like
What-
top tier indie.
The top of the indie, if we're just using this like made up
Polish.
thing, you know?
Yeah, so like
What about,
Slave
like-
Aspire 2
Inside.
is like A, I.
Inside kind of
Yeah.
feels like it's like, oh, this is
This is so
But it's
silly.
like whatever the
This
next
is so
Play
silly.
Dead game is, like has to be at least double A because they've spent like 10 years making it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
like that feels bigger.
So this is where it
What
gets,
about like a Child of Light?
For A, I think that's probably
Yeah.
like.
I think double
Well,
A.
Ubisoft
maybe.
published it, no?
That's- Yeah, they did.
It's like a
This-
UB Arts game, but it's smaller. They don't really
Right.
treat it on the same tier. This is like a while
That's
ago.
no,
so
that's
I
a
don't know,
good
like,
A.
more
That's a good
Yeah.
A. If we gotta have an A, I think that's a great one.
it's going A.
And then there's
Hey.
B.
B
It's
is
just-
is B almost a different thing because you're talking about like B movies, and that feels like it's
B
a
is
different.
qualitative, yeah.
And so it's like Deadly
Earth
Premonition.
Defense Force.
Blah. Yes, exactly. It has to be like dome.
Well, I feel like B, isn't it still, we're talking about the budget, right? So wouldn't it just be like anyone's like OpenIsh.io, like those are all like B funded for the most
No,
part, unless
'cause
they have
I
grants or
don't-
something.
I think it's a
Like-
different thing on top of this different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
because
it
You
it's
can't
low
have two
budget
things in
and
one
lower
question.
quality?
Tan messed it up.
No, we're not talking about budget. We're talking about grand truths about our reality that we're all tapping
letters.
into. And there's nothing we
Let's
can
talk
do
about
about
letters.
the association of B
Right.
game.
So like Epic Mickey,
Epic Mickey
Whoa,
was AAA in its day.
was it really?
That was
Okay.
triple-A in
Yeah.
its day?
Oh, that was
felt
AAA in its
double-A
day.
in its day.
What, yeah,
It
what
was
about
Dark
just
Days.
like a big like a licensed game though?
That's double A.
Like a
Like
double
Cars
A.
3 license
Okay,
game. That's a double A
But see,
experience.
you guys are only bringing quality for B. Like, why do we bring quality into this? Like, I don't understand.
it's
because
a different
because
letter.
it's just a different thing.
And
Like
it's
when
like-
you say like B-list movie star, it means like they're in
not even-
slightly worse movies or they're cast in
Yeah.
less good roles.
I think the question though is getting at the money still. I don't know.
No,
is,
the
but I
question
think
is just asking what one means when we say letters.
Yeah.
It's like, what do letters mean?
Really?
Letters mean.
Yeah. I do think it's a different
I rescind any of my
spectrum.
comments then. I don't know what this question's getting at. I've been stumped for the first time in like, what have I been here for like 3-4 years? It was
I think
bound to
it's
happen
been
at
like
some
Your
point.
5
challenge
years.
is so completely fair, and there's just nothing we can do, Janet. That's all it is.
Yeah, I thank you for your time.
And I thank Dan for writing it as well. What do y'all like for question of the week here? Charles, you want to steer us a direction?
I really liked game length.
Yep.
I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting, but I also really liked how heated Ben got at the food question. I think those are the
Yeah.
two more interesting moments.
Mm.
Good
I
questions
liked-
all around, though, I would say.
Yeah. good
For
question.
sure.
Incredible week.
I like the one about thoughts because it was the longest one, and I don't
Yeah.
know any better what's going on with anyone.
And people got really into the Freaky Friday part. I don't know why that was like the
That was the best part of it.
People were like, we're done. We've spent too long on this.
Okay. Charles, your final call.
Length of game, final answer.
Wow.
one.
Neil McMahon takes it. Takes it right good. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk on PlayStation. Congratulations. You just won question of the week. And now it's time for something that we call Get a Load of This. Haley, this
wonder
song's
if I got
it. Trust me, you didn't. Hey,
It's really short, and then it echoes for a long time.
yeah, it's a mess.
So you got to do it right away.
Get a load of this, everybody. Jeremy Parrish, back from One Up and EGM back in the day. I'm a big fan of his. When all the news about Giant Bomb went down, about fandom selling it and stuff, Jeremy Parrish just posted on Blue Sky, "I'm sincerely happy for the Giant Bomb crew for reclaiming their work from a pretty awful corporation. It reminds me of how angry I am for rounding up 7-figure funding to buy One Up from Ziff Davis, only for them to refuse refuse, quote, "It's too valuable," and let the site fall into rot for 12 years. Which is devastating to hear. That somebody who loved 1UP that like got 7 figures trying to buy that, and Ziff Davis was like, nah, we'll just hang on to it for absolutely no reason. There was talk years ago, by the way, of doing a 1UP Yours reunion podcast at MinnMax, like, you know, the holiest of holies in my mind for gaming podcasts. And I was like, well, we got to be careful with it because IGN technically owns it. I'm like, the point we can't do a reunion podcast because like IGN and Ziff Davis would own that.
IGN
like,
owns you guys.
It's such a weird, it was such a weird angle. It's a mess. But shout out to Jeremy Parrish, who then made a shout out to MinnMax in a follow up Blue Sky post. So thank you for that.
That's nice.
Get a load of this. Something Rotten has just finished its retrospective of all the God of War original trilogy. And in looking at them, I found a video of like a bunch of the God of War staff just sitting together doing some sort of roundtable, and David Jaffe gives his ending of what his God of War 3 ending would be.
Yeah.
And it's bananas. And Cory Barlog is essentially like sitting next to him, shaking his head the whole time. Like it is just like, it's like David Jaffe's being like, yeah, and then Kratos would like kill himself using the 6-axis controller, and then you would like melt the blades of Olympus into the scythe, and you would become like death with the scythe.
Ooh,
and
that's
Cory
cool.
is just sitting next to him, just being like, the whole time.
Let the record show, I think that's cool. The idea of melting his blades down and he becomes death.
That's kind of
Do
cool.
you want to hear the coolest part?
Yeah.
So you were going to fight a bunch of different... It was basically like you were going to kill Zeus in the first 10 minutes of the game, and then all the other pantheons of gods would rush in.
Right.
And he said that at one point you would fight this giant cat, and you would freeze it with Medusa's head, and then that's what the Sphinx
Hell yeah.
is. So like it would be like a boss
I
fight,
might
and you
be
would create the Sphinx.
I love it.
It's like, look at this basic idea, and I'm like listening. Sounds really good. I want it now. Okay.
It always makes me think of Leo. I forget what it was, but someone was dissing some game. Oh, I think it was during the 210s we were debating The Impossible Mile. What was that game called? Longest Journey. What was that game called that was cool, where it was like societies built on societies? You know, it's like the time loop.
Oh, yeah.
The Forgotten City.
Forgotten City. Yeah. But I remember,
yeah.
People were like, oh, that's like high school philosophy. I remember Leo being like, well, that's high school philosophy. Like, I need to go back to high school because I find this stuff fascinating. Like, anyways, Leo, you said that years ago, and it was so funny. Does anybody else have to get a load of this?
Schools.
That's right.
Yeah, get a load of this.
You got it, girl.
Okay, yay! This is a article that was posted on MLB.com from a few weeks ago about a Red Sox fan crocheting while a player whose last name Crochet starts and is on the field, and her name's Anna Galbraith, and she's working on a sweater, and she crochets when he takes the field and stops when he leaves, and she's just working her way through it, and she's like, I hope to have it ready by playoffs.
I love that.
Wow.
Links
Is
below
it
if
like
you
a
wanna check it out.
sweater of like a Red Sox jersey color or something?
It's red. Yeah, it's a red and white cardigan. And she's like at the games playing, and sometimes they'll show her like on the jumbotron being like crochet, and then it's pretty cool.
That's so cute. Get a load of this. I thought I knew the color wheel, but my brain got blown the other day when I was trying to figure out complementary colors for my sheets. So I had a purple duvet. I was like, what's the complementary color of purple? And then I realized that whatever color you're thinking of, so the complementary color, say for example, blue, you take the other two primary colors and combine them, and that's the complementary color. And I fear that may be common knowledge, but I was like, oh my, because I always have to bring up the color wheel and like look and know when I'm doing complementary color stuff, like everyone does in their normal day, just learning the colors. And it's so for blue, what's left? Red and yellow, combine them orange. The complementary color for blue is orange. For red, what's the complementary color of red? What's left?
Green.
Blue and red. Oh, I think I made
Blue and yellow.
The complementary of blue is orange, yellow and red combined. The complementary of red is yellow and blue, green. The complementary of blue, I already said that. The complementary of yellow is blue and red, purple. And you can just like think of it in your head and not have to look at the wheel.
I'm gonna just look up the wheel.
Does it
Yeah, the
only
wheel's
work
nice.
with one of those three colors?
You could just say, what's the temperature of blue? What gets mixed out of purple? What gets mixed out red and blue? What's left yellow? You could just inverse it.
Oh.
We don't think this way.
I don't think everyone
My
knew
brain
that, but I
can't see color wheels.
I do vividly remember learning that in kindergarten. So I do.
Why do you remember it so vividly?
For the record.
Yeah, this is like kindergarten art class. In that case, we should all go back to
Well,
kindergarten art.
it wasn't as long ago for Charles because he's the youngest one here. So
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
That makes me feel better.
I
was
like that
almost
my little
2005.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple years ago, Charles was out there in kindergarten, towering over everyone.
Yeah.
Get a load of this. The cow goes moo.
Oh, shut the hell up, Leo. Last week yours was sit in your car and listen to a song a little bit longer.
Yeah, so can it, buddy?
You
And I
jerk.
changed lives. Get a load of this. We're talking about YouTube rabbit holes on a MinnMax charity video that's going up soon. The Backstage Pass version probably will have that. A YouTube rabbit hole my partner and I go down is heel work, which is competitive dog dancing. A trainer and their dog doing a choreographed dance routine to a song with outfits and stuff. And it is just wonderful to watch. And I'll link one that is set to a Dolly Parton song called Cracker Jack. That's about her childhood dog. And it's probably going to make you cry, but it's really good. And some of them are really funny. They're just like, it's a weird ass sport. And the dogs are very impressive in their choreography.
Remember that girl who won like America's Got Talent doing that, and Simon Cowell loved her? He was like, yes! Like, this is the one thing I love besides One Direction.
Leo, is it correct that you don't have a dog?
It is correct. 2 cats.
That was a thing when Leo visited. He was like, we were just playing fetch with Toaster, and he's like, you ever watch like dog agility competitions? And I was like, no. And I was like, do you? He's like, yeah, we actually watch them all the time. And I was like, do you have a dog? And he was like, nope. He's like, oh. Okay.
Does the one on my TV every night count?
Yeah. They're just perfect YouTube.
Yeah, that's what
Tune
Is there
it
cat
out.
agility? Has everyone ever checked?
Yeah, there is. There's like cat tricks. There's like crazy like cat trainers that'll have like I've seen one that had like 3 or 4 cats doing things at the same time with
my
like a big
God.
fancy set. Probably also America's Got Talent.
I feel bad. I feel like society treats cat agility like society treats WNBA.
Wow.
I don't know if I'd say that.
In my essay, I will.
And I am
If
not
this isn't
immune
someone's
to
liberal
that.
arts thesis, I don't know what.
Dogs doing agility competitions are like the most actualized happy dogs in the world. That's the thing. If you made
yeah.
a cat
What
do
they
it,
love.
you'd be torturing them, I feel.
That's the
That's a
thing,
good
yeah.
point.
They're kind of like, why would I do anything for you? I'm like, okay, good point.
Hey, who hasn't
Really,
gone
Saying
yet?
that they force women to compete in the WNBA, Leo?
I was
They hate
explaining
it?
why I disavow that comparison formally.
Okay. I
WNBA,
want a
how many
black and white-
A's?
Sorry, you go, Ben.
Oh, Charles, I said WNBA, how many A's?
There's an A in woman, but
Oh my god.
Okay, can
I
somebody
was gonna
else
say, I
yell
want a
out, "Get
black
out of
and
this,
white
please"?
photo. I want a black and white poster of Haley with the quote. Just, I feel like cat agility contests are like the WNBA of pets.
excuse me, no, I
That's our
said
girls.
society treats them at that way,
Oh,
not that I
I'm-
believe.
Jacob, what's your get a load of this for the love of God?
I said mine.
Damn
I
it, who
have
hasn't
mine.
gone yet?
Save us,
Hey, kiss ass.
Get a load of this. Frequent Wall of Hero subscriber Super Cincy Expo. It's this
Yeah.
week, and I'm gonna go to that because I live near it, and that should be cool. I went last year and it was fun. I'm hoping to run into Hugo, who does all that MinnMax art. He also lives down here, and I believe he did the art on the badges there too, which is really cool. So
I hope you need some stinking badges down there. That's cool. Hey, get a load of this from the community. Ariel posted this. Ariel in Seattle posted this in Discord, where she says, "Hey, for the Pew Pew Bang listeners, there's a Gizmodo article with the headline Labubu's creator on the ugly cute sensation that's taking over the world." So if you want to learn the full history of Labubu, which I just listen to Pew Pew Bang, I don't watch it. I subscribe to it on my favorite podcast app. And so I hadn't really seen one of those freaky things until, seeing Sarah
There's 3
yesterday
of
at
them
this
on
volunteering thing.
microphone right now.
What a disgusting creature.
I
Vile.
felt the same way, and they're growing on me, man. The more I see them, the more I get it.
Yuck.
I'm just saying, It's Sarah's Funko Pop.
Yes, it is. It's like an uglier Funko Pop. I'm not scared of Sarah.
Come on down.
I would argue you're very scared.
Yeah.
Well, she
I
just
don't think you're not
bullies
scared
me.
enough.
Well, we went
Sarah's
to volunteer.
the
the other day.
quadruple A of cohorts you're scared of.
That's exactly it. Good way of putting it. Okay, did we get all the good out of this? It's stuff with 6 people. Did we get them all? We all out there?
We also had 15 tangents.
Oh,
My
boy.
bad.
Yeah.
All right,
This
we
is
got
like
it.
the drunkest podcast I've ever been on, and everyone's stone cold sober. I don't understand what happened.
Maybe people are still drunk from New Show Plus yesterday, everybody. Check it out on YouTube where
It's true.
Pop Leo, and the Cardinal Jeffum did a blind taste test for different sodas. Is there booze involved? Tune in to find out. That was a surreal thing, but thanks for voting for that on Patreon, everybody. Bonus pod again, this week it's Jacob and I with a full recap of our trip to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Also talk about Thunderbolts in that, and actually it's a spoiler-free discussion about Thunderbolts you can enjoy in there in the bonus podcast feed. You support us at that $5 tier, you get access to that. The travelogue from our trip to Brazil is up on YouTube. Thanks everybody for watching that, sharing that. We appreciate it. If you want to really feel like what it was like to go down to Sao Paulo, hopefully that travelogue kind of gets the point across. There's an 8.5-hour version if you want to jump into that $10 tier, which again, will DM you a Steam code via Patreon for Chia if you do want to unlock that, which you'll also be unlocking the ability to vote for New Show Plus and the extended version of a bunch of other content, including Summer Game Fest travelogue coming up, which will be coming up in June if you stick around. Leo hinted at it. We did a fun volunteering opportunity through Open Arms where we prepped meals, created meals for people in need, and we just put a call out on the Discord. So like, hey, does anybody from the community want to help and come out to this and help us package up some meals? And 13 lovely folks from the community said, hell yes, we will. Aww. And so it was just like the cleanest, easiest operation. Open Arms, like what an organization. Like they have it down to a science. They were so great for onboarding and being super fun. It was a fun time in that kitchen, which I don't think I was expecting, like how fun those folks at Open Arms would be just to interact with.
Certain things I was reminding myself, like they have to say this every day.
Yes.
It does not come across that way, that all they do is say this because they're so like effective at getting people excited about it.
Yep, for sure. But we made a quick video that should be up sometime in the near future on YouTube if you want to see that. And shout out to the folks in the Discord who joined us on that adventure. Pew Pew Bang, all about cosmetics this week. And it's a great podcast, obviously. You should subscribe to it on your favorite podcast app, review it on your favorite podcast app. But if there's ever an episode to watch on YouTube, this is the one because it's a very visual episode all about cosmetics. And the ladies are all in wigs and they have elaborate makeup as well that they show off. Is that the best way to sum up this episode?
Do you wear wigs? The episode.
Yeah.
I watched it, Haley, and it made me laugh. I watched that Lord of the Rings thing just for you.
Good.
Yeah.
I thought of you whenever I see that meme.
Oh, good. Thank you. Also, real quick mention, the deepest dive on Claire Obscure. We're having a post up on Patreon this Friday for kind of the middle chunk of Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And then the deepest dive is recording next week. And it should be up by Wednesday, I believe, on YouTube with the bonus podcast feed covering everything in that game. Game's hard. Covers everything in the game up until you deal with both axons is the idea. Axons. Axoffs.
Nice.
But Charles, do you have something you want to plug? Is it the improv?
It's going to be that's Dayton Black Box Improv Theater every Thursday. We have shows Wednesday through Saturday, so if you can't come Thursday to see me, there's other good stuff happening there.
They want to see you, though.
Yeah, probably do. I don't want to presume. You can also go to GameInformer.com and see all of our fun stuff there. We finally have Wes back from paternity leave, which is really nice to help lift on all that stuff we're writing. We're doing lots of fun trips. Lots of videos going up on the YouTube channel. Game Informer, we're back and better than ever.
Sweet.
Dude.
I saw you, it was like an Instagram video where it was like shoving a mic into like Bam Margera's face at the preview event for Tony Hawk 3 and 4. And I was like, I want to watch the extended version of that. And you're like, no, that was just for Instagram. I was like, that's smart, but I want to watch the extended version of that. I want to see that interview.
If only we had more people to film and edit all the time.
I know the feeling well.
Bam's available.
That's right. He's a very slow editor, as I learned from that Vice documentary. Janet, you got something to plug?
I posted up a South of Midnight review on my website, pen2pixels.com. So check it out. Give it a read.
Right on. There we go. By the way, it was like, I think it was Vice. I made the documentary about Bam, just like in the modern day, Leo. And he was like, he made this skate video.
And is this episode ever going to end, please?
No, it's not. And a good chunk of the video was just about him like being stuck in the edit. Like, I have 600 hours of footage and I can't get through it. And so it was like a glimpse into hell as an editor that always stuck with me in a way.
Wow. Full circle, huh?
Full circle. That is
Janet,
it.
I have a thing I want to talk to you one-on-one about real quick.
Yeah,
you used the
absolutely.
You used the word pointillistic earlier when you were talking about Despelote, and that was just a great vocab drop. I was just really impressed by
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
All right, everybody, leave a review of your favorite vocab use in this episode below in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.